Hey, what's up, everyone? Today is a very, very special day. Today is a very special day. Um, Yesterday was the Legacy Showcase qualifier, and well, I expected it to. Oh, my internet's crashing. Great. Hopefully, it'll stabilize. Ah, not like this. Oh, we're good. Maybe. Come on. All right, it's doing okay. All right. Made it to the finals of the Legacy Showcase. That's the thing that happened. Um, Went 9-2. It's an 8-round event. It's 210 players. It was sick. I just the bit rate just dipped for a second there, but we're good. And man, it was a tough weekend. I played in Honorog's 1K, went 1-2, lost to D&T twice, beat Dredge. It was double elimination, so once you have two losses, you're out. And I was like, ugh, what am I gonna? I gotta fix the D&T matchup now too. If I have a bad D&T matchup, like good against Bant and like a coin flip against Delver, and it's like everything's. And it's like, okay, how do I fix this? How do I make Goblins good in the metagame? And I played like all day on Saturday, all day. Um, and I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I think the biggest thing was like, how do I make this mana base work to accommodate Mass Vandal? Because the more I played, better Mass Vandal was looking. Not just exiling Kaldra in the D&T matchup, but 2 mana exile Urza Saga, so it's like a Stone Rain that hits their best land. Exiling Valakut Exploration and Exploration against lands, hitting Omniscience and Sneak Attack against Sneak and Show, hitting Alurin against Alurin, like hitting so many things. Card has so many targets right now. Um, Back to basics. It's just so much stuff. Card is just consistently very good. And I found that as much as I wanted to, you cannot play Cabal Therapy and Mass Vandal in the same deck. Stretches the mana too far. Think this a little bit. And so ended up on this. And there's two, key things here. We've got Kiki Jiki in the sideboard or in the main deck, and also Goblin Sharpshooter. Both of these were heavily influenced by D&T being so popular, Plague Engineer numbers being low, and Dress Down. Kiki Jiki is a great way to get around the fact that all the like Bant control decks, just all the control decks in general, are playing. Wow, that's really loud. They're all playing Julia Pester, thanks for the follow. They're all playing Dress Down to handle Urza Saga, but that's also, stifling your Matron and Ringleaders, and that's annoying. However, they don't really spend Swords to Plowshares on Matrons and Ringleaders because, like, those cards are taxed on, like, Pile Driver and War Chief and Lackey. And, like, Sling Gang and Moxus to some extent. So the War Chief, or so the Matrons and Ringleaders tend to sit on board unless they get traded off with something. And that means that Kiki can be additional copies of Matron and Ringleader in the late game. And that improves your consistency and gives you just like incredible late game value that's like very hard to overcome until you actually remove the Kiki. And by then, it's like you've copied the Matron, copied the Ringleader, you've gotten a lot of value back. So it's very easy for Kiki to be a 3-for-1 or better, basically. Against control. Against D&T, it doesn't get hit by Skyclave Apparition. So like a lot of other like value permanents, if you were just like try to play them against D&T, if they had a Skyclave in play, all they need is a Wisp to flicker their Skyclave and then exile your thing, and then you're sad. Sharpshooter has that problem to some extent, but with the 2 War Chiefs and the Kiki, you can sneak in Hasty Sharpshooter, which is like much, much, much better. I'm also playing a whopping 17 red sources. And I think going below this in this build is insanity. I think this mana base is exactly what it needs to be. You cannot cut a red source for another colorless land. I lost in the finals because I had too many colorless lands, you know. Okay, we dropped frames for a second there, but now we're back. Okay. I really hope this doesn't frame drops go away. Yeah, so I was really proud of this. This has been like, this is my best Magic finish, like, period. Second in a 200 plus player event is the best I've ever done. So really, really proud of that, especially after how badly the days before went. Like, like loss, win. This didn't really happen. Loss, win, loss, 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 win, win, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, win, win. All right, so this was the night before, and I did 4-1. I punted a 5-0 somewhere in here. I think that was here. And it was like 3-2. 3-2. Even right before the event, I was 1-2 in a league. But here we are. Some of these games were absolutely insane. So I wanted to go over with everyone how exactly this went. This was sick. So the funny thing about this round 1 is that my opponent is the same person I put against round 1 the last showcase. And they're on this Yorion blue-white Urza deck. So on the play here, very kind of medium hand, you know. 1 drop into Pile Driver plus Jump Palm is like decent, but these 2 are like very far away from being relevant. But do keep it. I know they have 1 Wasteland in their deck, so just have to get the Badlands because I figure I might need to get Taiga with this because of Mass Handle. Throw on Ballista. Matron kind of scary draw. I could cycle Jump On, but I think that would put me too far behind. And if they just pump Ballista for to 2, I don't think that's a big deal. Turn to Urza, which is pretty scary. And I shoot the Prospector, I shoot the Construct. Thanks, Dan. So I get pretty punished for that play because I do draw the land like just naturally. Like this would have been my draw step, and I just would have played Matron and still have Gem Palm in my hand. And the fact that I don't have a second Goblin in play actually has like tons of ramifications for the rest of this game. Play Saga, play a Karn, uptick. And now I'm just like in this really awful spot where I was like, man, I really wish I cast this Matron last turn and that Gem Palm was still in my hand. So we get the Vandal. We have 2 creatures in our graveyard. I'm gonna want to hit the construct that they make, or the Saga itself, or what they get off the Karn. They get a coding, which I'm actually okay with. Get to expert the Karn here. Draw land, which is important. Porting doesn't really do anything here, so make a construct, another construct, play a Psy, play another Saga, play Crucible of Worlds. So it's like, okay, this game's getting out of control. My opponent, I think my opponent just straight up kills themselves to known information here. Like, they have the game pretty thoroughly under control, but this attack is just, like, absurdly dangerous. And they know about the Vandal in my hand, so I think they kill themselves to known information. The Creator Maker is just as good as the Vandal here, basically, but just a little less efficient. So I just take out their one colorless creature, and then the Pile Driver solos them. So they take Xaxes. So how many Cauldron Conflicts for defeat by Vandal? 3, I want to say. Manolia Nia, thanks for the follow. I think so. My opponent made a mistake, attacking, but I also just shouldn't have cycled the jump home. Because it just led to me not having, like, if this Matron wasn't in play, then the Pile Driver would have gotten pumped, and then could have hit the Karn for more, or hit them for more, like, it had cascading effects across the rest of the game. Yeah, Vandal was so good this weekend, Jarvis. It was so good. I got to Kiki Vandal against D&T. Whew. All right, so how did I sideboard here? I boarded in 3 of the blasts. I didn't board in all 4 just in case they left in Chalice. I cut all the vials like I tend to against Karn decks. Sideboarding's a little haphazard here. Shaped a lackey because I didn't really know what else to cut. Cut 2 ringleaders and one of the Sun Gangs and a Muxus. The jump home I thought might be a little slow, like it was last game. And then I boarded in. So 3 blasts, Needle, Caracas, Crashmaster, second Vandal, and 2 Pyrokinesis. So this hand I thought was like, it's like, okay, I have good mana. I have Pile Driver is obviously very relevant in the matchup for actually killing them. Sure, the best way they have to deal with Pile Driver is going wide with Psy, and then the Sharpshooter means I don't care about Psy, so that's why I kept it. I also have a Wasteland for a Saga, so I do know they have Force of Will in their decks, so Cavern has value, yeah. Just take out the Saga. Yeah, exactly. It's like, most of my draw steps are good here. So there's a side. That was. I don't know why I did that. I think that's kind of funny. Pedal outside, play EE on 0. Yeah, definitely questionable. Draw Lackey, which, at least it's something I can cast. And then the Karn gets Lattice. And I'm just like, okay, have to port you, or else I die to a Soul Land, or Land plus Pedal. I have Thought Monitor, which is like, alright, things are getting very, very bad. They get coding, and have the Soul Land, so if I didn't port, I just would have died. But I guess they may have just drawn it off the monitor. Get more Thopters, tap my land, or port my land, basically, port my port. And my out here was like, expert for the Karn would keep me alive. I think that's... Pyrokinesis is a little bit short because they have 5 toughness of blockers. Vandal doesn't quite do it. Like, I kill the coating, but then they lattice me. So yeah, I think it... yeah, I think it is just the experts there. Oh, a Pithing Needle. So 4 outs. But whiffed, so very dead. So definitely got punished for keeping a slower hand, but I do think it's actually... It is a reasonable keep. Their hand was just like... Saga, 3 soul lands, Petal, and the Sai to create blockers. So I think on the play, I boarded out another Ringleader, went back up to 4 lackeys. Dynasty Verend, thanks for the... Oh, wow. Thanks for coming, War Chief. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Yeah, Yorion seems weird in this deck, right? It, like, I guess you blink Urza and Thought Monitor. Yeah, Flickering, it is a little one more. Like, Flickering Emery is, like, kind of whatever. And then that's, like, basically it, right? So this is another, like, kind of medium hand, but it does have, like, a lot of good tools. Expedition Map's interesting. I know they have 1 Wasteland in their deck, so I'm a little worried about my mana here. I'm trying to hold this to get either Badlands or Taiga. That's why I play the Wasteland. They Forcible on Pile Driver, pitching Sai, which I'm fine with. Listed for 1, I'm sad. Kill the Prospector. Yeah, exactly. No reason to thin. So I decide not to hold up Rep here because it's like, if I just like pass and hold up Rep, they're just gonna like get a Wasteland me. So I decide to get a Badlands. You know, I do cut myself off a potential Vandal draw, but I think Expert's probably more important. I decide, you know, they just spent a Ballista. I'm going to try to Sharpshooter. I'll try to untap with the Sharpshooter. And if they don't Wasteland me, because they want to progress their board, then, and I draw land, then I can go Sling Gang with Sharpshooter in play, which is insane. That just, like, kills everything. They have Trinket Mage. So this is like, oh man, I really wish I had this rev up. But it's just like, I don't think the mana panned out to actually realistically that, because they get another Ballista here. Go another Reb. Feels even more sad. And now they'll see that I missed a land drop. I get Pashlik. Because I'm really trying to line up the combo here. I have to draw lands to win this game, so I have to just assume that I'll draw a land at some point soon. So they map for Wasteland my Badlands. I do draw the land. Lucky me, and Badlands is a good one. So now things are actually reasonable. Opal into Urza with this 2 revs in hand definitely feels bad. Yeah, I know. There's some moto bug that I've had since I last reinstalled where all duels are single colored. I don't know why. Alexis, thanks for the follow. So they Blister for 1. I make a pretty big mistake here that almost cost me the game. I miscounted and didn't realize that I can actually kill a construct here. So I end up with like 1 damage left over. So I just shoot their face. Because I forgot the Sharpshooter dying would give me the Pashlik trigger, so I actually have 3 damage, not 2. Third Reb. So finally gonna start using them. I think this is the 3rd Ballista. Yeah, Ballista for 3. So I lose everything. They have a 3/3. I really wish this was just a Trinket Mage. Draw the land. But they are at 10. I have a Sling Gang in play, so I'm really just trying to fade Karn here. Again, this is very unfortunate. And Saga, but I do have a Wasteland, so it's not the end of the world. Blast the Thought Monitor because they're very close to dead. I want to kill the 2/2. I'm putting myself in a situation where any goblin is lethal. Any castable goblin is lethal. Yeah, and the tomb is offline, exactly. Urza, blast that shit immediately. Pitch to thin. Got Matron. Yeah, and Matron by itself is lethal. I get a 1-drop to... I don't know. Because the game's over. So powered through the triple ballista. It was definitely awkward that I didn't have Reb up for the ETB stuff. And I definitely messed up killing the Trinket Mage instead of this construct. Made the game closer than it should have been. But still pretty happy that I beat triple ballista, double Urza. The final Reb was really good. Like, this one was just like deal 2 damage to target creature. And the first one, it did kill the Urza, but it made a construct. So less good, but the last one was really good. All right, round 2 here. This was against Delver. I kept like, my keeps here are maybe a little sus. Lose the die roll, which is rough against Delver. Obviously unplayable hand. Very reasonable hand. Like, I need to draw spells, but toss back the redundant port. Draw a monkey. Draw a 6-drop. And then this is like Prospector Revile is hard to decide, right? They're also on a Molda 6. I'm thinking like I can take some monkey hits, and if they spend a bolt on the Prospector, maybe I'll draw like a War Marshal, and then I can resolve that. Or they daze the Prospector, then the Vial sticks, and I can, I can take a couple monkey hits. So I do go with Prospector here. Do have Bolt or Unholy Heat, whatever. And the fact that it hits Lackey here, I'm pretty sure cost me the game. Because if I had drawn this Lackey, I'm like 100% to just go Wasteland your Volk, play Lackey to block. I guess they had Force and Daze, so it still wouldn't have resolved. Yeah, Waterfalls. I noticed that after. I mean, I got like 6 hours of sleep the day before the event, and I had been playing for like 10 hours or whatever. So typos, yeah. Thanks, Pingu. I did luck sack the shit out of you, having both my ley lines, my 2 ley lines, both in the opener against your Wear Tear. All right, so I guess they had Force anyway, so Lucky would have gotten countered. Also, maybe you should have played Port instead of Wasteland. Yeah. Yeah, the top deck Surgical was also pretty good. Yeah, double Wasteland. I'm like, please, for the love of God, draw a Mogwai Marshal. And then they hit Crater Maker off the top into Murktide, so it's just like, okay, I'm super dead. But we didn't really get to play Magic at all this game. It just so happened that the Ragavan hit our creatures that we would have drawn instead of the spells, and then we drew the lands, and it's like everything was just like 1 card off. Yeah, this game is pretty dumb. But I mean, this is the difference between being on the play and being on the draw. If I'm on the play, I go turn 1 Vial, they force the Vial, and then they play Monkey, and then I wasteland them, and then play Skirk, and then they die because they didn't have any other mana. Like, play draw is just such a huge deal. But they also had, Monkey plus a Bolt effect, plus Force, plus Daze. And I didn't have War Marshal or Expert. Boarded out top end stuff, boarded in 4 Red Blasts, 2 Pyrokinesis. I think I might start boarding in Caracas on the draw against Delver, specifically to stop that from happening. Toss that back. Have this incredibly mediocre 6. Keep because it has Cavern and functional mana. Or Monkey. I probably should not have played Cavern here. I just really didn't want to get like Pile Driver dazed and then they bolt my Prospector. Like, I just really didn't want that to happen. And I do have just Wasteland and then a Channeler, so Giga Punished. But they also had Bolt, so like kind of screwed no matter what I do. Unless they didn't have Daze, but I think they had Daze. Yeah, they had Daze, yeah. So, again, Monkey, Daze, Bolt. Go for Expert. Yeah, War Marshal would... Every time you grow, you draw a War Marshal against Delver, everything's like infinitely easier. Hit Badlands. Now I only have 1 Badlands left in my deck. So kill the Channeler, because now I'm actually putting creatures in play, so the Monkey doesn't matter. Braid, another Channeler. And then Slam Ringleader. I'm like, okay, it's time to stabilize. And then I hit Lackey and bottom 2 Red Blasts, which is like one of my best insurances against what is undoubtedly about to happen, which is they're going to cast Murktide Regent. So yeah, basically worst Ringleader possible. Hit an irrelevant card, bottom my 2 best cards. There's an 8/8 or 7/7, whatever, and I draw land. I'm dead. So really shit games, like just fucking awful games. Maybe playing the Pile Driver off of a fetch, off of a non-cavern land would have mattered, but I don't think it ultimately changes very much. It just changes the order in which things happen, but the result is the same. Yeah, I mean, we had very mediocre 6 both games, and not seeing War Marshal. I think if you want to hedge against Delver, playing a 3rd War Marshal or playing the first Mog Fanatic are the best ways to do that. And I do kind of want to get a Mog Fanatic in my list here. I'm just not sure where I would put it. And then around 3, I get Tony Scapone, and I'm just like, okay, guess I'll drop. Because I'm 1-1. This is just barely not a 9-round event, so if you go X and 2, you just 100% can't make top 8. I think. Maybe 1 X and 2 snuck in. I don't think they did, though. It's like, okay, I guess I'll die. And I'm on the draw against Ruby Storm. And then just like... Yeah, Stefan got 9th, yeah. Like, I mean... This hand doesn't get there against Ruby Storm. Well, basically, I was like, okay, I have to mulligan to Lackey. Hopefully find a Shatter to go with it. And don't see Lackey in the 6 or the 5. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep 5 because it has Vial into port, and then maybe I'll draw Lackey. And my opponent's also on 5. So I kind of assume that there's just going to be a turn 1 Echo no matter what happens if they're mulling to 5, and that's... Hey, Rextra, thanks for the follow. That's exactly what happens. Can you notice, is that alert too loud? It sounds loud in my ears, but that might just be the volume on my headphones. So yeah, turn 1 echo. Oh, I shouldn't have clicked that. All right, so turn 1 echo, but kind of a whiff. Defense grid, LED. But now my hand's like even worse. Like, okay, guess I'll wasteland you. Hope that you're stuck somehow. More echoes. My hand is... I don't even know if it's better or worse. Desperate Ritual. Desperate Ritual. LED. Wish for... It doesn't actually tell you what they wish for. Gamble. Discard Ancient Tomb. Echo. Third echo of the game. Oh, that's why it doesn't show. Oh, okay, that makes sense. You just get any card. Hand. We've wheeled 3 times and I've mulliganed twice and we have not seen a lackey yet. So I'm like, come on. Gamble again. Discard Mountain. Pass. Like, okay, well. Wasteland you. Like, hope that you don't have mana. Nope, more soul lands. Horn. Though the fact that I wastelanded them and they had to use a Rite of Flame and a Petal to get this in play is actually pretty relevant, because that means it's like 4 less cards off of Horn. Draw extremely irrelevant Ringleader. Play my Vial. Strictly speaking, probably supposed to play Cavern because of it's a green source for a Vandal. Alright, so discard Ritual and a Looting. Basically a whiff here. The Gamble. So I checked the bot actually, and the third the fourth echo is in the sideboard for Wish, so they can't actually gamble for another combo. There's the Jessica's Will though, and a Looting, so that's pretty scary. Jessica's Will, make a bunch of mana. Looting, gamble. The gamble discards the Burning Wish, so they missed the 50-50. Flashback Looting. More whiffs. Puts on 0 cards. I mean, with a Horn, you're basically more useless draws, but I am lining up a Mogwai Marshal that will die, and then I can Matron for Vandal, kill this. So there's a Burgie. Paying Echo, definitely not. So Burgie doesn't matter so much when you only have 1 card in hand, so definitely taking out the Horn here. So flashback Looting, but it can only go so far. And then I intentionally leave my Vial on 2 here because I really want to Ringleader into Expert to kill the Burgie this turn. Because they're at 7. And my Ringleader does indeed hit that Expert. Calculated. Now they go to 1. So the Ancient Tomb's off. They have 1 card in hand and 2 mana. So that's how you win game 1 against Ruby Storm. Your opponent wheels 3 times and then whiffs on, like, I don't even know how many Horn activations. Yeah. I almost scooped this match before it even started. So the fact that I won was a pretty big fucking surprise to me. So boarded out all the Vials, Ringleaders. Maybe should have left in the Sharpshooter just as extra combo kill potential. A slower Pashalik, but Also, they could have emptied the Warrens in their deck. They probably do, right? I've never seen Tony go for empty against me. Like, we've played a bunch of times, and he's never gone for empty against me. Boarded in 3 blasts for the Echoes. Skipped on the Surgicals. I just don't think they do anything, really. Like, it's like marginally better against a Gamble deck, but... And my 7 is just like... I don't think you can construct a better 7 against Ruby Storm as Goblins. Like, maybe if this was Muxus or Trashmaster. But even then, I think it's about as good as it possibly could get. So, he does not play around the Mindbreak Trap. Goes for a turn 1 Echo. But bam, get Mindbreaked. He could flashback looting, but that doesn't achieve anything with 0 cards in hand, so he just has to pass. Like a Taiga here. Goes an LED. So since he drew an LED, I think I Create a Maker the LED instead of putting in Sling Gang. Slows down the clock, but LED's just so good in that deck. Yeah. Yeah. Pyrokinesis for Bergie, absolutely. It's just such a good card in that deck, and it the fact that it blocks is like incredibly relevant. Draw Port, which is phenomenal. Passes. Draw War Chief. I could have, I'm valuing the port here, so I could. So wait, hold on. If I play War Chief, attack for 5, 6, 7, down to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite enough to turn off the tomb. Porting still matters for this turn. Let's draw land, but now the tomb is off. So it feels like basically impossible to lose here. So, yep. Got very fucking lucky. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. that's just what happened. Got very fucking lucky. The one of Mindbreak Trap in the opener with the Lackey, with a Shatter available and a pretty fast clock, and leftover extra blast if there was another Echo, Pyrokinesis if there was a Bergie. Like, it's like, okay, I guess this is the time. Alright. This was the first of 3 D&T matches I played in this event, and I was quite concerned about the D&T matchup because I lost it a whole bunch yesterday. It's like, okay, let's see if the tech actually pays off. On the draw here. But pretty reasonable hand. There's the low chance that we actually get the Muxus and playoff Lackey, given, unless you drew like an expert. But that is available to us, and then we have good 2-drop, and then Create a Maker generically good. We're bad against, turn 1 Bomb, turn 2 Stoneforge for Kaldra. Like, we're always going to be bad against that, but, at least we have Vandal to edge in a couple draw steps, assuming we'll draw Matron or the Vandal itself. Opponent's on 6. Plains pass. Feels Plowman, but we drew Matron. Yep. There's the Stoneforge. Get Batterskull. So I was like, okay, you're either not playing Kaldra or you're expecting, or the Kaldra's already in your hand. It's like, okay, now I'm confused. Draw another Matron. So I got Badlands here because I want this to get Taiga. And I decide, you know what? The War Marshal, the Matron. I actually have enough fuel that I could just flip this Muxus into play, and I have a redundant Matron if I do have to get Vandal. So Batterskull comes down. File. Pass. And now it's like a real choice. Do I go for the... I kind of feel like there's probably a second equipment here, right? There's probably like a sword or a Jite. That my opponent wants to stick on this Batterskull. So I could go Skirk, land, sack, everything except for the Skirk, play Muxus. Hope that Muxus is good enough. It's like pretty dicey though. Like they do have a Caracas, so if they can like kill the Skirk and then they can bounce Muxus, if the Muxus isn't very good, I could be in a really bad spot. I could also go like War Chief plus Skirk, and then they have to kill both of them, sort of. But if like, I mean, if they kill just the Skirk and then I don't draw a land, and the War Chief doesn't actually get this Muxus in play. You could also just go like, so I think I take a slower line here because I want more material in play when I'm going for the Skirk Muxus line. So I think I actually go fetch, or I play the fetch, but I don't use it. Crater Maker, and then just hold up Crater Maker. And I don't think I play the Skirk. Oh no, I do. Yeah, okay. No, I changed my mind. Oh, I'm thinking of a later game. I do go for the War Chief Skirk thing because of the fact that they probably don't know how important this Skirk is compared to the War Chief. That the War Chief is actually worse than the Skirk in the context of my hand. And then play the Crater Maker. Yeah, okay. Now I'm remembering. And I thought about just blowing up the Batterskull, but I wanted to play around another piece of equipment, which just kind of feels like is what's happening. Obviously, now the downside is that if I wait, then the Batterskull doesn't actually die. I can just pick it up. But I don't think the Batterskull matters all that much. So I just take this hit. I'm just like, okay, sure. Like if you want to, like this is a triple port, kind of. I draw the 5th land, which is amazing because now I just get to slam Muxus and like have everything up. And opponent's like, should have plowed. And excellent Muxus, 3 very good cards. I do bottom the 2nd Muxus, which is always a bummer when that happens. Yeah, this is obviously phenomenal. My opponent just concedes there. Like if they had a plow, it's too late. They have to plow the War Chief. They have to plow the Pashlik. The Muxus is going to kill them. I can sack all sorts of stuff and kill their whole board. Like a lot of things. Oh, raisins. So game 2. So here I sided out all 4 lackeys, 2 pile drivers for Trash Master, 2nd Vandal, 2 Pyrokinesis, Needle, and a Caracas. I think Caracas is better than... I think I just want a 25th land in this matchup because it tends to go long and want a lot of land drops. And the Caracas protecting my Pashlik, protecting my Kiki Jiki, and bouncing stuff like Post-Port Thalias, which they almost always leave in. Bouncing Yorion for tempo can matter if it's like a clear board. So Caracas is decent utility. Hey, German Thoughtseize, appreciate it. So this hand is like slow as hell. It is really slow, but the opponent's deck is also generally on the slow side. And Turn Vile is pretty hard to turn down when you're boarding out all the lackeys. You don't have that many good 1-drops. I think about this hand is just like all the non-land draws are good for the most part. It's like, you know what? File plus Wasteland, maybe it'll be good enough. So I do keep it. Opponent plays a Vial, which is my worst nightmare, and then I draw another Ringleader, which is also my worst nightmare. Hi, Jafar. I don't know who Set is. I want to keep a one-lander file. Jump Home is like... Oh. Giver of Runes, much less scary than Mother of Runes. This Jump Home's looking a little sad. Wasteland my Wasteland? Sure. I was going to do that to them, so... Then Spirit Labyrinth. So I don't register that the Spirit shuts off Jump Home on my turn for like a while. And so I actually should have cycled Jump Home this turn. Yeah, this guy claimed my vial. Got another vial. Flicker my vial. I don't know why they didn't flicker the Skyclave. I guess they don't want to give me a 1/1 because that blocks the Spirit. That's like not a permanent answer to vial, and they take up to 4. So I'm like, okay, I'm about to get Yorioned. My mom. Still don't, yeah, really wrong to not cycle the Jump Home there. Ringleader hits another 4-drop. So I drew basically all of my 4-drops. Just literally 2 left. Third Ringleader and the Trash Master. And Solitude, my leader. Another mom. Yeah, I'm super dead. Moxus. Turn too late. Well, it's also just turned too far away. Plow. Double mom. Opponent figures it out. I'm dead. Should have cycled this a while ago. So, kept a slow hand, got punished. Didn't draw particularly well. Go to game 3. On the play, I shave a War Chief and a Sling Gang to keep 2 lackeys in. I don't know about that. Don't have any other cuts, but as we kind of saw there, like, you do want cheap goblins, even if the lackey is like extraordinarily unlikely to actually connect. I just want it to be a 1-mana 1/1 that's in play, maybe eats a removal spell, but more importantly, powers up Expert and Jump Home. So this is another similarly slow hand, but we do have the Vandal, which admittedly we're gonna have a little bit of trouble actually activating. But I think this is pretty easy keep. Torn Mom, spooky, double Vandal, feels bad. Opponent plays a Thalia into the onboard Caracas, probably not the best play. Slam my War Chief. Let's take out my vial. It's not really fine with me. Matron is such a good draw here. Such a good draw here. Because now I just get to Matron for Sharpshooter and set up to have some Kiki Sharpshooter action going on. Get a free attack. I do have to draw a 3rd red source for Sharpshooter for what it's worth. So, Wisp. I'm sad. But at least I get to force the mom to tap. I briefly considered shooting my own Matron, and then I was like, wait, I have a Kiki in hand. That'd be really bad. So, draw the red source, and now... So, my opponent missed a land drop for 2 turns. It's my turn 5. I'm on the play. It was their turn 4. So just one turn. But I know, like, 3 mana is, like, a huge flashpoint for D&T. So it's extremely tempting to wasteland this Caracas. But at the same time, holding up Caracas for my Kiki Jiki is very good. So I can just protect Kiki with Caracas, and like if they're Caracasing my Kiki, and don't have a removal spell, like I'm already getting value out of the matron. They have to like solitude my matron here to prevent me from having value. So I decide I'm gonna go with the Caracas protection. And end of turn. This way I keep the token on their turn for whatever it's worth. Get a ringleader. They have multiple things that they have to kill. Like the only like real punish for getting ringleader here is like Wasteland, Caracas, there really isn't a punish because it's like they'd have to kill the war chief and wasteland me down to 3 mana, which obviously they can't do. So it's impossible for me to lose the Kiki, lose the matron, or lose the Kiki, lose the war chief, and not be able to cast ringleader. They can do 2 of those things, but not all 3. So they do a Field of Ruin, which is pretty good here. Takes out my Caracas. I don't bounce in response. There's literally no point. But like that Kiki forced them to use the Field of Ruin, which ate their turn basically, and a plow, and it gave me a matron that got ringleader. Like that's a very reasonable exchange for me. Draw War Marshal, which is fine. No longer interested in wastelanding them. I think my mana matters more. The War Marshal is nice because now it means that the Vandals will be active. It's definitely been awkward. But fortunately, I haven't had equipment. I mean, like if they do have equipment, you can always suicide something into the the creature. Yo, Jim Davis with the raid. Welcome everybody. So Goblins enthusiasts. This weekend I got second place in the Legacy Showcase. With Goblins. So I'm going over my matches. We're around 4 here, taking a look at Yorion D&T match. You can exclamation point deck list to see what I played in the event. And we're gonna just go through these matches. And thank you so much, Jim. I think I saw a tweet that yeah, Lady of the Police, I saw you were streaming on Jim's channel today, right? Hope your stream went well. Holy shit, Infinity with the Twitch Prime for 12 months. A year? That's so much time. That's so long. Thank you so much for the raid, Nicole. Alright, so that ringleader was clutch, right? We've got Skirk, War Marshal, Double Vandal, so it's like we don't have a way to get through this mom yet, but with like this much burn, we might just straight up kill them. Strictly speaking, I'm supposed to play the War Marshal first, in case they like plowed the War Chief in response, and then the War Marshal wouldn't be castable this turn. Details. Opponent's hitting me with this Wisp, but that's not really that big a deal. Recruiter the Guard. I believe he gets a Stoneforge here. Yeah. Which is, I'm like, oh, thank God, Stoneforge. I have two Vandals that I've been waiting to use. And a Vial. That's cool with me. I pay Echo here. When you have Skirk in play and a War Chief in play, it's like the extra body on the War Marshal is valuable. Paying Echo is essentially 1 mana here because you have Skirk. And I also have Sling Gang. So this is just like very high value Goblin token here. Drawing a land is quite nice here. I mess up here. I realize I actually have lethal. So barring a Solitude. So I mess up, and I was thinking I was going to sack the War Marshal in response here, but I end up not doing it. And I'm like, oh, shit. But I think the way it works out, it actually just... The 1 damage actually matters. So swing with the whole team except for the Sling Gang. And then I'm thinking, like, okay, how much can I play around Solitude here? Because as it stands, so they're at 17. So if I just pass priority, Then they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage to go to 10. And then I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of burn. So I'm too short. So I have to activate Sling Gang 2 times before damage resolves here. Plus, they're probably going to activate their Mother of Runes, so I think I just pass priority here. Oh, no, I sack 1. Because I am, like, basically 100% confident that they are going to activate their Mother of Runes. No, yeah, I think about it, and then I don't. Alright, so they activate Mom. Sure. Give that per red. So they lose their Mom, and I can just let that go. So now I have Xaxes. Maybe should not have done that, because if they Solitude their own creature, they live. And I lose my whole board. Because this is Xaxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As it turns out, they did not have Solitude. So we just get the kill on them. Because I'm kind of trying to do 2 things at once. I'm trying to play around Solitude, but also don't play around Solitude at the same time, because I forget that I can target their stuff too. So I probably should have just sacked the War Chief before damage resolved. Anos, thanks to the follow. So kind of a weird game. You don't normally just see Sling Gang drain you out, from 17 board stalls, but the Kiki gave me enough value that I was able to just kind of drown them in 1/1s. That was game 3, yeah. All right, so on to round 5 here. This is against Basuta. So Basuta normally plays Moon Stompy. Basuta actually innovated many Moon Stompy lists. Very influential player of the Chalice archetypes. I'm on the play here, which is really nice because it means Chalice is probably a non-card. Chalice can be annoying when you're on the draw, but when you're on the play, it really doesn't do anything. So he normally plays Moon Stompy, but lately I play them in a league, and they played it's like a mono blue Echo kind of like Hull Breacher, Narset, Days Undoing. It's just trying to time twister you. This is a Gen Classic build, yeah. So another very medium hand, but I also know that they're playing a mono blue deck, so I'm like, okay, Pile Driver's really good, Lackey's good, they're an Ancient Tomb deck, Wasteland's good. I guess I'll keep. Opponent rolls to 5. So I feel like I'm about to get echoed basically no matter what. So I just hope there's no Hull Breach to go with it. Port's phenomenal draw. Like, of all the lands to draw, Port is by far the best one. So now I guess get him in the bind. Okay, the Badlands was pretty bad. This list only has 1 Taiga. It's 2 Badlands, 1 Taiga as far as duels go. Put in nothing because my hand's all lands. So MOCS, Pitch and Echo, Ancient Tomb. Here's a Karn. Karn's not that big, not too scary on this board, honestly. So they downtick 4 waste, 3 port in your food chain list. That sounds awful. I'm playing 17 red sources, Dan. You disrespect mana bases more than anyone else. You played like 14 red sources in Winstigator. That's just not reasonable. So they get a bridge here. I think I just fetch my Taiga proactively. Go Jump Home. Kill Karn. I think about putting the Jump Home, but I know Hull Breacher's in the deck, so I think I'll hold it for that. Because Hull Breacher blocking Lackey could be like kind of disastrous. It does cut 4 damage off the clock. I don't play around like Flash and Hull Breach in response to port. Like LED Echo here. Like, it just feels like playing around too much. MOCS, Pitch and Echo. MOCS, nothing to get down to hand. So they drew 3 MOCSes. So not the best hand by them. Draw Matron, which is clutch. Grab my Crater Maker. Vandal's not online yet. I could cycle Jump Home to make it online, but that's like kind of a spew. And Crater Maker is also better, somewhat, against second Karn. So get Ballista, makes sense. And then War Chief is just like very good. So I'm just short. No Trashmaster main deck. It's two Craters, one Vandal, Trashmaster in the side, along with the second Vandal. So I can go Crater Maker plus Port U, and porting is appealing because that means that unless they draw a land, they can't Ballista for 2. If I go War Chief, Crater Maker, activate, kill Bridge, I can hit them for what? 2, 4, 6, 7. I can hit them for 8, and then kill the Karn as well. There's also the option, which I didn't really consider in the moment, which is I could just hit Karn down to 1 and not actually kill it. And that allows me to hit them full with the pile driver. I think I take a bit more of a conservative line here. So I just kill the bridge, and I do kill the Karn as well. So I give up some damage this way, but I still get the War Chief and play off the Lackey, so we're still set up pretty well, and I get to port them. I have a Narset. I know they can't echo me. And even if they did, they would just die on board, right? So they need to echo into like Tomb plus Breacher or something, and then do it again. Like they would need a really insane echo, but they can hit LED, but their last card in hand is Ballista, so we just kill them. Hardcast, Jump Palm, just cuz. All right, that was game 1. Post-war, we're like incredibly well set up here. Board out vials, Karn deck, shave a ringleader because your hand doesn't matter that much when it's getting wheeled. Shave the sharpshooter. There's just gonna be a lot of board states where it doesn't do anything. Shaved a Muxus and a Sling Gang. I think you just want cheaper stuff. A lot of times against the stompy decks, like you only need so much top end. And especially I'm boarding out vials, so you can end up with really clunky draws. So I boarded in 4 red blasts, the Pyrokinesis, and the 2 Pyrokinesis, and the Pithing Needle, and the second Vandal and Trashmaster. So a lot to board in. Yep, this is like a fine hand. We have Blast. Skirk is nice in that you can like play a proactive 1-drop, which you want to do. You want to get creatures on board for Karn, but you can simultaneously hold up Blast for an Echo. Opponent with the Island Pass. They did keep 7. Expert's a phenomenal draw. So Petal City. This is Urza, yeah. So I do 2 for 1 myself here, but it's very much worth it to kill the Urza. Yes, this is a recap of the showcase, yep. So now we are a little vulnerable here. So Narset, I'm like, okay, please don't hit Echo. Say no thanks to the follow. So they hit Force of Will. It's a little scary. So they let Expert resolve. So that means that either they don't care about getting another Narset activation, or they are just holding, or they're holding the Force for something more relevant, like a Matron or a War Chief, or they don't have a blue card. Draw another Expert, which is really nice insurance, because if they go for LED Echo, then I get to draw 7 as well. I think this is a Karn. Oh, it's Ballista for 2. So I decided to let this resolve, and I'm going to try to bait the Force with... I'm trying to clear the board, and then my thinking is that I'm going to play the Sling Gang. I will force it, and then I'll play Ringleader the turn after and kill the Narset. So that's my overall plan. Don't really want to draw land. Draw a War Chief, which is interesting. The upside of War Chief here is that if they don't have a blue card for Force, which, you know, isn't a given. You know, they have a lot of colorless cards in the deck. I get to kill an Narset, and it's not as high cost as losing the War Chief. Or losing the Ringleader, rather. So I think I just go for the War Chief here. I believe they do not force it, yeah. Also, this represents Pyroblast, so they might be less inclined. If they're like, oh, my opponent has Blast, I'm gonna lose if I force the War Chief and they blast back and they kill my Narset, then I have nothing. This opponent has land. So now they have Hardcast Forcible up. So I'm like, please draw Cavern. Draw Pyrokinesis, which is decent. So go for the bait. They just let it go. Also, there's upside here of like if they have Hull Breacher, I want the red card in my hand to pitch. Do indeed have a Hull Breacher. I do Pyrokinesis it, and I do Force of Will. Pitching an Echo though, so like they would hardcast Echo. So that's actually like a pretty good outcome for me. I thought about Fury instead of 4th Reb. Fury does not kill Murktide Regent, so no. Also, I just think Fury's like generally pretty card. So I basically just need to fade. I need to fade a Days Undoing or another Echo. Karn would also be scary. I draw a Pyrokinesis, which is like obviously awkward, but hitting them for 2 every turn. I don't know why they did that. They played City, or they played a second Tomb and lost their City. I thought that was kind of weird. Draw a Blast, which is sick. Still gonna take it slow. Don't need to blast the Hull Breacher and then just like lose to counter plus Echo, because if they if they draw Echo or something to that effect, they're not gonna be able to Forcible as well. Adequate match, 6 to follow. Again, taking it slow. We're pretty close to having these Ancient Tombs turned off. Just kind of waiting for them to do something. Munitions Expert, thanks to the follow. So Chromox. And this tells me that they're going to go for Wheel. And it is hardcast Echo the Aeons, which I just Pyroblast because they don't have mana to flash it back, and then the game is over. So yeah, Pyroblast, good card. That's what I have to say. This match was probably the most insane of the tournament. This match was ludicrous. Not only was my opponent's deck ludicrous, but just everything about this match was ludicrous. All right, so we're on the play. I don't know what my opponent's playing. Basically, totally reasonable hand in almost every matchup. Now, Fury is bad. Well, it's bad outside of Food Chain, I think. Most of the time. I tested Fury a bunch, and it's just like, not being an instant is so much worse in Legacy. It's like such a huge deal. It's like infinitely worse against Elves, infinitely worse against Death and Taxes, like, because of Mother Runes. I mean, you do get to hardcast it against D&T some amount of the time, but like, you have 3 red against D&T, you're probably in a decent spot, whereas Pyro like bails you out of situations where you are like very far behind. I think Fury is, you don't get to board it in against Usal spells for Pyrokinesis as text. What else? Hogak. A very common thing in the Hogek matchup is that you have to Pyrokinesis Stitcher Supplier in response to the ETB. Because if you don't, then they just cast Hogak because you don't have priority. So if they go like turn 1 Gravecrawler, turn 2 Stitcher, you have to Pyrokinesis Stitcher in response to the ETB. It's not like you're going to go like, okay, Pyrokinesis your Gravecrawler. Like, you just lose if you do that. Worse against Dredge for like Icarid reasons. Worse again, and Narcomoeba reasons. Worse against Moon Stompy because of Rabble Master. Like, you don't want to Pyro on your turn. You want to like let them play their second Rabble Master, then you kill both of them. Worse against Delver because you don't. I mean, it dodges Force Negation, but post board they usually cut those. I think if you're gonna main deck Fury, if you're gonna main deck a Pyro or a Fury, Fury is probably better because it is more widely applicable, but it is a worse card, so I think it's worse in the sideboard. You want to start Legacy in paper and want to make a Goblin stack between Turbo Muxus and Classic Goblins, which I think is the best in Legacy. I think Turbo Muxus has been made irrelevant by Food Chain Goblins. I think Food Chain Goblins is just like a strictly better version of Turbo Muxus. But I think both are worse than Classic Goblins. I think Vile, I think Wasteland and Port, I think having the most varied and what's the word looking for? Varied and flexible game plan is what makes Vile Goblins better than those decks. Those decks are much more streamlined, but they're against like if you play against the decks that don't care about your game plan, you like can't win. Food Chain has like such a bad combo matchup, it's ridiculous. Like, I've been beating combo decks pretty decently with Vile Goblins because the combination of the right sideboard cards and Wastelands and Ports and like a compact way to kill them with just like Lucky Muxus lines or Lucky Sling Gang lines. You can beat combo a lot of the time, but Food Chain Goblins, like, you're never beating a Force of Vigor. You know, like Oops All Spells, you're so dead. You're so dead. It's just, it's rough. If I'd include a non-goblin to my decks other than Ragavan or Fury, what would I be most willing to add? Probably Pyroblast, honestly. Grimwalker's just like a worse Snoop, right? It's just a 3-mana Snoop. Yeah, Oops is still like kind of a deck. It's just, I mean, it shows up in leagues and not in real events for the most part, but you're gonna see it. All right, so let's get back to this game. So, Force Push Brainstorm, cool. My hand doesn't need Vile, so it's not that big a deal. Drops. I'm like, okay, this must be Bant, right? Bant Miracles and they lead on drop. So I'm like, okay, Wasteland. Got War Chief, not bad. Play my Creator Maker. Yeah, Realm Walker is a goblin. It's a changeling. Right? So here I'm like, okay, this is probably Ice Fang Coatl. Which case I just want to jam War Chief, right? Because that gets me really ahead. If they plow, it's like kind of a bummer, but Coatl doesn't have Death Touch yet, so jam War Chief. Grab Decay. I'm like, okay, now this is like a bug pile of some sort. Opponent passes. So I'm like, okay, now I'm really confused. Well, obviously they missed their land drop, but things are looking weird. Creator Maker, Prospector, Dress Down. So now I'm like, oh god, they're gonna go land Uro, but they just missed their land drop. And then, all right, so this is like hilarious, right? Dress Down is a card that's being widely played because it's good against Urza Saga because it makes the constructs instantly die. And an opponent has Dress Down in their Urza Saga deck. I'd play it 3-mana Uro, but they don't get the ETB at least. And given land is nice here, so I actually get to, this is basically a 1-for-1 because the Uro didn't draw a card. And I know that they don't have more lands, so this Uro is probably a little bit far from getting into play, right? I get my Taiga because there's a Saga in play, and I would love to draw Vandal. Draw Matron, pretty good. We're at 9. Now I have Crater Maker for constructs, and plus the constructs are small right now. And then my opponent goes land, Uro, Stifle. And I'm just like, you fucking kidding me? Like, okay. Draw an animation. There's like a million choices here, right? There's so many things that could happen here. I think there were two targets on my mind here. I want to get something cheap. I want to try to do something efficient. So I think there's Pile Driver to both block the Uro and potentially kill them, right? Because if I get Pile Driver, I block Uro, get a 15, and then their plan is to make a construct. I can just create I can swing with everything. It'll be 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 damage off the Pile Driver, and then 5, so it's 13, 14. So I'd put them to 1 if that was their plan. So I'm like, okay. And then the other option would be Matron for Mass Vandal, sack Expert, or Matron, destroy the Saga. Because this Stifle and Dress Down and Urza Saga is making me think Phyrexian Dreadnought. I do have 2 Crater Makers for Dreadnought, though, So decided to go for the Pile Driver. I'm thinking about Kiki Chiki in the long run, so that's why I sacrificed the Expert instead of the Matron, because I want diversity. I want both as options. Opponent taps, they do not make a construct, and they get Shadow Spear. I'm like, oh boy. Now I'll spell them. I'm kind of surprised they don't equip here. I guess they just don't bother because I have a Crater Maker. But then I find out what's actually happening is that I'm going to block here, and then they have another Dress Down. So my Pile Driver loses Pro Blue, which is basically the worst thing ever. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm dead. Like, they have another Uro. Like, they're going to do this every turn. They're at 15. I have to shatter this thing. Draw a Ringleader. Okay. Good time to Ringleader. Good time as any. Get Dressed Down again. Third one. I'm like, oh my fucking god, I'm gonna lose it. Maybe not making a construct was a tell. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. So I'm like, okay, well, I do have 8 power on board. I'm at 19. I can take some Uro hits. Maybe I can race here. I do have to ditch my Crater Maker, though, so I lose 2 creatures here. So, sack Expert, Crater Maker. They think about stifling it, but they don't. Like, you saw those, like, paying costs. I'm pretty sure that was a potential stifle. And I suppose they didn't value it that much because I have the second Crater on board. They bring back the Uro, it's defensive Uro. And they have land. Draw Cavern, which is obviously very good. Don't have to worry about Force of Will. And here, this is where Kiki Jiki is clutch. Because I don't want to just like try to YOLO Muxus, right? Because then Muxus gets stifled or dressed down or whatever. And then I'm gonna lose, right? Kiki, I know they're in bug colors. So first of all, Kiki can't basically can't die. They're gonna have Fatal Push. They're gonna have Abrupt Decay. They're not gonna be able to kill a 5 CMC creature. I have 5 lands in play. I have Skirk, so even if they do Wasteland me, obviously I would be vulnerable to Force of Will then, but I can still cast it. So this is the perfect spot for Kiki. Kiki the new Krenko, yeah. So they cycle their thing, which is vaguely relevant because of Vandal, but I have a Skirk in play. But not that I really want to sacrifice any of these things currently, other than the Crater Maker. So Saga, and then a Loam. So opponent's just on maximum Dirtle value. And their Loam mills 2 Dreadnoughts, which is actually super good for me. They play a Grist. I was like, what the fuck? What is this deck? What am I playing against? Draw land. And then, do I want a Kiki Ringleader or do I want a Kiki Matron? And I think I lean towards Kiki Ringleader here because they can't Abrupt Decay Ringleader, but they could Abrupt Decay the Matron response. Plus, I don't know what I want to Matron for exactly. I would prefer, and also 2/2 haste matters here. Play my land, and they have Stifle, or no, they Brainstorm into Stifle. Fuck my life. I'm at 7, so I have to leave. I'm trying to leave back some amount of blockers, but I also have to hit this Grist down to at least 1. Otherwise, they just minus and kill my Kiki. So I'm pretty thankful they block because that means that they don't have Push or Decay for the Matron, because then I would die. So Grist down to 1. Constructs galore. They mill another Dreadnought, which is really funny. So that's 3 Dreadnoughts gone. And I do accept going to 1. I lose access to my fetch, but that's just life. More Uro. They go to 22. Draw land. So land here is kind of nice because that means that I can yeah, it's funny that you asked that here as I'm sitting at 1 life. So this, I'm like, okay, please not yet another Stifle, not the 4th dress down, please, please. They've gone to 3 dress downs and 2 Stifles. So the Kiki resolves, I'm like, okay. They probably don't have it then. Get the Muxus. Windmill Slam. Long pause. Resolves. Bam. Insane Muxus. Insane Muxus. We get Matron, Expert, Lackey, Sharpshooter, Sling Gang. Yeah, 5 out of 6. So we get to kill the Grist. Killing Uro doesn't really matter. $14 Goblins in play, casual. And I'm assuming, what can their hand be, right? Their hand isn't Abrupt Decay, they would have Abrupt Decayed the Matron. Their hand isn't Fatal Push, they would have Fatal Push Matron. Their hand isn't more Stifles or Dress Downs. Their hand isn't another Uro. Their hand basically has to be lands and Force of Wills. That's the only thing it could be. Or a Dreadnought. So I bet their hand is Force Dreadnought. So I decide that Pashlik's the get here. Because between Sharpshooter, Sling Gang, Kiki, and Skirk, I can assemble the machine gun through a removal spell at least. Free attack with the matron, free attack with the ringleader, to make 2 constructs, and then block. Then I just get to so I drain them for 1 first, so I can fetch, and then I Crater Maker the construct. That was probably a little loose, because if they can get a Pithing Needle main deck off of these Urza Sagas and then Needle the Sling Gang, it could be a little dicey, but then it's just like geeky copy Matron, get Vandal, so it's not really that big a deal. So opponent makes constructs, make constructs, and then they don't have any more targets. So yeah, and they concede. Like, I think their hand had to be Force Dreadnought, and then they drew a blank here, or maybe Force Land Dreadnought. Because I actually checked their deck list. They got like 21st or something. They did have 4 Dreadnoughts, and I only see 3 in the graveyard here. All right, 1, 2, 3. Mismatching Dreadnoughts, come on. Do I kill? What happens if I get War Chief? I lose to Force of Will if I get War Chief. That's why I didn't. Well, I don't lose to Force of Will, but I give up a lot. Yeah, you would think that this deck would be insane against Goblins, right? Basically 8 copies of Stifle, 4 of which draw a card and like are Humility. 4 Uro. There's a Saga's like kind of whatever against Goblins, but like Dreadnought's quite scary. Though Mass Vandal, really good against Phyrexian Dreadnought. Yeah, Saga Dress Down seems like one of the more suspicious deck building decisions I've ever seen. All right, game 2. So, had a sideboard here. I knew that Reb was going to be good, right? 4 Stifle, 4 Dress Down. Reb's got it. 4 Uro. Reb's got to be just like the best card. And I hedge against Plague Engineer, so I board out some X1s. I board out the Sharpshooter, board out 2 Lackeys and a Skirk and a War Marshal and a Sling Gang. So I'm heavily hedging against Plague Engineer, which, as it turns out, they don't have in their deck. They have 2 Dark Blasts instead. But I think without that information, you're supposed to hedge pretty heavily against Engineer. Also, Shave an Expert doesn't seem like it has many targets outside of, if I can kill an Uro, that seems unlikely. I could hit Grist, but like I don't know how many they're playing. They're only playing 1. Needles, nah. I thought Magus of the Moon would be covering the Sagas. And like Needle isn't that great against Saga because, you stop them from making the constructs, but they still get to sacrifice it at the end and get a Dreadnought or, Shadow Spear or whatever. So I brought in Trashmaster, Vandal, 4 Rebs, Magus, Baracus. Yeah, they also have Grist. I don't know. I didn't think it was worth it. I leave in the Gem Palm over 1 Expert because with 4 Dress Downs, I wanted a removal spell that worked under like the Humility effect. MC Blazer thinks to follow. And Gem Palm is also better against Stifle effects in general than Expert, because like if they stifle the trigger on Expert, you get a 1/1. If they stifle the trigger on Gem Palm, you get a draw card, which is like just way better. And I shaved a Vial partially because I thought that might be a Force of Vigor deck, partially because I didn't know what else to cut. Probably wrong to shave a Vial, but I don't know what else I would cut. Maybe a Ringleader, but I feel like if they're playing so many Stifle decks, you really need like density of your good ETBs. Really wanted, like, Keeking the Opener is sketchy, but it's also like, this is one of the best cards in the matchup, evidently. War Chief's okay. Pash looks good if they have an Engineer draw, and then Red Blast seems generically very good. And then Violent Deport is good, so keep this. Little Nano Light, but Island Ponder, pretty happy about that. Draw Second Blast, also happy about that. Resolves, extremely happy about that. And then the fact that they played Island means that they can't Abrupt Decay me. So I know at least to get some amount of counters on this file. So they dress down here. This is kind of a tough call. If I blast this, they could untap and Abrupt Decay my Vial, which would really suck. If I let this go, they draw a card. And while Uro isn't scary, because I have Blast, I just get to blast the Uro. And it won't draw a card, so that's like kind of an even exchange. It's really bad if they have Dreadnought, right? So I think I decide that, you know, blasting a cantrip that also enables their combo is probably worth it. And their deck seems so heavily geared around this combo that stopping the enabler rather than the payoff is the line. So take the blast. As it turns out, they have second dress down into Dreadnought. All right, chat, tell me, what is the best draw here? What is the card that you think that I was going, draw that, draw it, draw it? Vandal? There's no creature in the yard. Yep. Top deck Crater Maker like a fucking champion. And do it immediately, so Stifle. Bam. And now here's another real consideration. Do you port or do you hold up Blast again? Porting plays around a Drawn Decay, because I really want to get this Vial to 3 so I can get at least one of these cards in play. Also stops them from playing Engineer. So, yeah, I do go with the port. It's bad against specifically Dress Down, again, second Dreadnought, or Stifle, or Dreadnought plus Stifle. But I think I just accept that that could happen. And then they don't have a land. So that porting, obviously really strong. Expert, kind of a dead draw. I don't put in War Chief here. Try to hit them for 2. I wasn't sure which one of these I wanted to put in play first. I have another dress down. Blasting the shit out of this. I wanted to port anyway. Porting black again. I know they're missing land drops. Get this War Chief down. Upkeep, Violent Pashlik. Take it out of 4. Draw land. Not gonna double port. So I port Trop here, see if they float blue. And then they trophy my Pashlik Mons, which I am super happy. Because now I can double port around Stifle, and I get to fetch. But I think I don't fetch, because I don't know if I need to get black or green. So if I draw a Vandal, the Vandal is more important than Expert. Bottom 5. Like he's actually a reasonable draw. Could have just attacked with Kiki here, but this is way cooler. Now I fetch. Now I get black because the Expert is probably more relevant than just the potential of drawing Vandal. They have Dark Blast for Lackey, but now they're just like dead. Right? I think they conceded there. Yeah. I mean, presumably their hand is just read like Uros and stuff. 3 drops. Double port. So good. Chef's kiss. So triple dress down again. 2 of them got red blasted, and the other one they got through, we got to Crater Maker the Dreadnought that they got with it. Top deck Crater Maker was nuts. Like, we did have a lot of good draws there, because like Matron, like we would have taken 1 hit from Dreadnought, but so I think we would have been fine in the long run, but I mean, not taking a hit from Dreadnought is a big deal. Yeah, the Kiki beatdown. Yeah, I am really surprised I made it through that round unscathed. I'm playing as Mental Misstep. So now at this point I am 6-1. Or no, 5-1. So if I win my next two, I get into top 8. And now the pressure is really amping up because Stefan's a really good player. I know he's playing Already past Ruby Storm? Yeah, that was round 3. I know he's almost certainly playing Delver or the Jeskai Saga deck. Because he usually gravitates to like the best decks. There's a slim chance he's playing like Blue-Red Painter, which I know he likes. But I expect him to be playing the commonly accepted best decks. Though he usually has his own spin on it. I know he usually has Gutshot in his sideboards, and I know he also loves put Staticaster in his sideboards. And Staticaster are also pretty reasonable right now because of D&T so good. He'll be playing on the Goblins in the next showcase. Hell yeah. So on the draw here, scary. This hand is like it's like a really good mulligan to 5. Right? Cabin War Marshal is exactly what I want against a Ragavan deck, and a turn 1 Vial, access to basics, and then 2 basically blanks. But, you know, if the game goes long, if the Vial resolves, then these will eventually win me the game. So, I do keep, he goes to 6. Throw in Dragon's Rage Channeler, draw Crater Maker, which is acceptable. Hello. Okay. No fear, Slam Vial. Force Pitch Express Reiteration, but like, this is not a bad exchange for me. He mulligan to 6, and he has to force pitching his way to draw out of his mulligan. Like, he's down to 2 cards. It's turn 1. I forget what does he do with the Scry there. He bottoms a Wasteland. The fact that he bottoms a Wasteland kind of tells me a lot. Like, he either has a Wasteland hand already, which is what I thought at the time, but it could also just mean he really needs to dig for action. Because now he's so low on resources. Like 2 cards to my 6. Vandal, admittedly, this is the bad matchup for Vandal. This doesn't really do anything other than blocks Ragavan very well. It doesn't die to it in a Holy Heat, which is kind of cool, but that's about it. You snipe a treasure occasionally. But War Marshal holding down the fort. Drawing lands is nice. Maybe I'll make my way to Kiki eventually. So that's Crater Maker. Back for 1. So now it's a matter of threat evaluation, right? Delver flips to Brainstorm. So here, I decide to, in the upkeep, kill the Channeler. Because if I kill the Delver, then all he needs is a sorcery to make this a 3/3. I don't have a Munitions Expert handy. And if I kill this and then I draw Expert, he could potentially, like, unless I play the Vandal first, but then I have to, like, fetch Taiga here, and it's, like, awkward. So the Channeler, also, like, I know his hand is not very good because there's so few resources, so I don't want to give him the virtual card advantage of Channeler. So I decided to Crater Maker the Channeler and just accept that I'm going to have to race a Delver. The Brainstorms. Still doesn't have a land, which makes me think he has Murktide in his hand. Ringleader is such a good draw. Like, probably the best draw in my deck. Just so efficient on this turn. And I hit War Chief Sling Gang. And War Chief's not looking bad here, given how clunky these two are. And he takes out the Ringleader, but now the War Chief's more likely to stick. I was kind of surprised he did that, knowing about the War Chief and the Sling Gang. But he kind of needs to not lose the race. So Ponder. So I faded Murktide that turn. I guess Murktide would be a 5/5, so maybe he's just trying to grow it. Yeah, and he ponders, doesn't play a land, and keeps the ponder. So I think he's like 100% to have Dragon in his hand. And then I top deck Wasteland, like Beast. And by beast, I mean filthy noob lucker. So Wasteland here. He floats blue instead of red, so I'm like, okay, War Chief. There's an argument here that I could go War Chief off Badlands Mountain, and play the Vandal just as like a 1/3 to attack with. But the problem with that is I really don't want to get my War Chief forced. Because if he forces my War Chief and then he draws a Wasteland from my Cavern, my hand is all uncastables, and I'll lose the race. So decide to not take the risk. I could have gotten around this by fetching Taiga earlier, but this card's just irrelevant like 90% of the time in the matchup, so I thought just getting extra black sources, because I need to like double expert in one turn, is more relevant. Ponder, there's a bolt. Draw another land. And now we're in a situation where we're pretty likely to be able to race Murktide with Kiki. Name Dispels, thanks for the follow. So there's that Murktide that we've been thinking about this whole game. It's an 8/8. It's not attack, because he would die if he attacked. And Kiki, copy Sling Gang. No gut shot, please. Attack you. Drain him out. So, got game 1 versus Delver on the draw. Big deal. Big win. If you get game 1, I think you're relatively favored in post-board games. As long as you have like a reasonable hand. So I boarded 4 blasts and the Pyrokinesis. I thought about Needle. I mean, Relic. I keep not boarding in Relic, but maybe I should. I also think I should probably board in. I agree. I'm happy cutting Taiga because I'm cutting the Vandals, and it's just like a bad mountain. It is a red source, but it's like a very bad red source. I think maybe I should board in the Karakas on the draw to be able to handle Ragavan on the draw more easily. And plus, protecting Pashalik can definitely matter. So I lift in 1 War Chief, cut, and 1 Muxus. I have been cutting both Muxuses in the past. I don't know. Sometimes you need to go big. Because Delver, it's like so hard to resolve Muxus, but if you do resolve Muxus against Delver, you're like overwhelmingly favored to win. So cut the Vandal, cut Kiki, cut Sharpshooter, and a War Chief. This hand's so good. Like, maybe if this ringleader was a matron, it's like a little bit better, but not even for sure. So turn on Dragon's Rage Channeler, draw a 2nd blast. You'll take every blast you can get. The other creatures are manageable, but Murktide is the real deal. All right, like he eats a bolt, it's fine. Vial is so good. Draw Vial. I would blast if he forced, probably. I kind of want to get another bolt out of his hand with this Lackey, because he's inclined to do it anyway, so he can keep attacking. So, there you go. Wasteland's kind of painful, but we resolved the Vial, so not the worst thing in the world. Also, this Channeler's still 2 types away from flipping. Port's such a good draw. So, here's Murktide. I am a little bit scared if he had Murktide plus a Cavern for Days. I don't want to expose the Cavern. I'm not playing this Cavern if I can help it until he's played like 2 Wastelands or I'm casting Ringleader. You have to sandbag Cavern. Like, Lackey doesn't matter. Like, Lackey doesn't matter enough that you want to play it around counterspells. Lackey, if it trades with anything, I'm fine. All right, so I drew the red source, which is amazing, because now I can blast Murktide through a Force of Will. Get a Badlands here. If he wants to Wasteland Badlands, that's fine, because that means the Cavern is very likely to stick. Iteration. Kind of wish I probably would have blasted Iteration. Because I don't want him to find a wasteland. And that's what he does. It's Badlands. Now both my Badlands are gone, so I have to be cognizant of the fact that I can't actually fetch a black source anymore. Matron, phenomenal. Drew really well this game. Matron means that I can kill this. So there's no instant in the yard. So what I should not have played Cavern yet. That was actually a mistake. I got ahead of myself. So here, a Matron for Gem Palm, because that means that unless he has like a gut shot, he can't get an instant in the graveyard for the Dragon Rage. Like if I got Expert, then he could force or daze in response to make this into a 3/3 and effectively fizzle the removal spell. Gem Palm doesn't give him the opportunity to do that. Second Cavern. Perfect. Now he goes Ponder, Abrade Vial on the one turn that the Vial doesn't matter anymore because I drew a fourth land. Ringleader hits Matron Slangang. So good. I drew really, really well this game. And now his hand at this point is probably a removal spell and like counters like 2 dazes or a daze and a force that he isn't able to use because I had two caverns that didn't get hit by wastelanded because I sandbagged this cavern for absolutely forever. Like I've had it in hand since turn 1. So I decided I'm gonna get this file down and go for War Chief here. Maybe should have gone for Matron, but I don't really know what I want to Matron for yet. And if his hand is all counter spells, then the War Chief's insane. But it does get Hydroblasted, which is fine. Honestly happy that the Hydroblast is hitting my War Chief instead of my Reb. And he Ponder, shuffles. His hand's still bad. Sling Gang time. He's really close to dead. So, Channeler, okay. Blazing Volley, Mills of Force. He dazes his own Blazing Volley to get another Surveil Trigger because he knows this daze is like never doing anything. Mills of Delver. Drain you for 4. Back up to 20. You know, it's turn 9. Like I'm just so favored from this spot. Draw, like, even this, like, now I can even expert this Channeler around a Bolt. The draw 1-drop. Get a Matron. I can Matron for Matron, the Matron for Sling Gang. It's the plan. Just give me deterministic lethal. You could go for Ringleader there, but, like, this just gives me... I think this covers all bases. Like, pretty sure the only thing that could possibly give him another turn would be Blazing Volley plus a Braid on the Vial. But then I just, you know, I attack. No, then he would fetch and die. So yeah, there's like basically no outs. He plays Expressive Iteration. I blast it. I in case he had something, I just didn't want to risk it. Something in his deck that would dig him out of this. And that's game. So I think this game really boiled down to the lackeys got to trade with bolts, which is really good. The channelers didn't flip effectively. Double blast. Blast from Murktide was like absolutely game saving. Sandbagging Cavern was really good. There's a lot that went right for me, but I also am really happy with how I played this. All right, round 8. This is the win and in. This is the winning in and looking like Yorion D&T, and we're on the play. Well, I remember this one. This one was like, this Jump Bomb. This Jump Bomb is so sad. I'm definitely keeping this, but like, because if you spike a red source, you're just extremely likely to win. So, Cavern Lackey on the play. Plains Pass. Damn, I was hoping for Vial. Draw War Chief. Not a good draw. So, Solitude, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take my 2-for-1 with my Lackey. It's like, holy shit, give me red source, give me red source. Wasteland Stoneforge Mystic. I'm like, oh god. It's Jite. So for whatever it's worth, if this was the 4th Mutations Expert, I would win this game. Draw Crater Maker, which is so close yet so far away. But, I mean, now I'm not going to die to Jite. But now I'm going to get wastelanded. He plays a Thalia. Which I guess makes sense because if he just passes, then I can just Crater Maker the Stoneforge, force him to put in the Jite, and attack with Lackey and put in MOCS and win. So I'm like, oh my god. Red Source. Red Source. Draw the 3rd Cavern. Just such a troll. So now I take a risk. Like, okay, I can try to like beat the Jite and like play a long fair game, but I think with the fact that I'm stuck on mana, my hand is like so good if I get this Lackey in, I think I should play to that angle. I know they have a port, like I'm gonna get stuck if I don't try to end this game sooner rather than later. So I actually Crater Maker the Stoneforge Mystic, because with the Thalia attacks, I want them to tap out, play Jite, and then I'm hoping to spike the red source for the Jump Palm Thalia, put in MOCS. I could also draw Skirk Prospector. So I have, what, 17 red sources normally, the 13. So I have 15 draws. Plus experts, so 18. Anything else? Vandal would be very good as well, so 19. It's not incredible odds, but not terrible either. And if I draw any land, actually, if I draw any land, then I can just play Pashlik and force the Lackey to trade with the Thalia, and then the game kind of goes on. They do what I want them to do. And then file. That was a heartbreaker. I get to equip, lose my Lackey, and I'm being ported. And the vial mitigates that. And then there's the mountain. One turn too late. It's so painful. It was so painful. I have a second wasteland. It's like, okay. Yeah, the wasteland. A cycle, because I'm like, okay. Need to draw Vandal or Crater Maker here. Draw worst creature in my deck. Not even close. Draw land, which is okay. More planes. They probably should have been using Jite counters more aggressively here. Like, I could be almost nearly dead. Put Yorion in hand. For me. I don't even agree that they should have done that. Draw another worst creature in my deck. So here, I mean, their hand is like almost certainly reactive cards because they didn't do anything. So, Hardcast Solitude. Goodbye. And now here is... Alright, so they have 6 damage off this, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think my chances of winning this game come from... I need to leave this vial on 3, and then I need to draw land, and I need them to, like, tap out for Yorion. So if they do that, then I could Muxus, and, like, the Muxus could hit, like, Shatter plus other stuff, and then I get to stabilize. So leave the vial on 3. Draw 1 land. So that's part of the way there. So they do start using Jite counters to kill me. Go to 7. Like Giver. Like Charming Prince. And they do port me. So basically reduces me to 0 outs. Vandal or Crater Maker would still potentially get me there, but yeah. land one turn. So like I was just like one land off like this whole game. It felt like, you know, one land off that jump palm, one land off this. But I mean, the port gets us really good. Port's good. So rough way to play your winning in, right? Miss out on that heartbreaking jump palm thing. So again, 2 lackeys, 2 pile drivers, 1 war chief, 1 sling gang out. I don't know about setting out this war chief. I really can't decide what the correct cut is. The problem is war chief is a 1-for-1 in a grindy matchup, and it is a little expensive. So mulligan 6 lands, creator maker. Have this thoroughly mediocre 6, but this hand does have the big upside of if my opponent keeps a risky vial hand. I think they go to 6 as well. Yeah. So I decided to keep the 6. Not going to get mana screwed out of the game. I have perfect mana. I can answer a Stoneforge or a Vial, which I think are the 2 scariest cards. So keep this very, very mediocre hand. One really bad thing about this hand is that it doesn't have a red card if I draw Pyrokinesis. I hold the needle. I don't know what I want to name yet. They go Wasteland Vial. I'm like, okay, snap off Needle Vial. Drawing Matron, very, very good though. This is like very clutch draw. I think they must have drawn this Caracas. Or it's their only white source. That's like the read I have anyway. Draw Expert. Very good. Not only does this mean that I get to kill the Mom before untaps, but it also means that I get to preserve my fetch land. I'm not sure what I want to fetch yet. Mountain, Badlands, or Taiga. And I have a suspicion they don't have more lands. I think they drew this Plains for turn. Because I think you play this Plains before you play this, and you play this Plains before you play this. So they put Yorion in hand. So the hand is just like not good. Like maybe has a Solitude, and they're thinking they're gonna pitch Yorion to Solitude. They're like worried about me playing War Chief here or something. And the hand just has to be like removal spells and like 3-drops that they don't want to use. Probably not a Skyclave. They would have Skyclave the Vial. So I want to get this Sling Gang down, because that'll let me have a big swing with the Trash Master, even if they kill a Sling Gang, which they almost certainly will. So Council's Judgment. That makes sense, right? Though, as it turns out, they don't actually have a 3, which is really weird. So, file, back online. Muxus. So I'm like, okay, this Matron's probably going to get Skirk, and then I can Muxus them. So I was actually really happy they took the initiative here, because I wasn't going to attack with this Sling Gang. And I was going to be sacking one of these Goblin tokens to destroy the Vial in their upkeep. And honestly, I might have just done that before attacking even, because it's so bad for me if they go like Skyclave, your Trash Master, eat a creature or whatever. So this way I just get to sack the Trash Master. And they don't have a 3, which I thought was really surprising. So their hand is Yorion, 2 other cards. So that means I think their hand has to be uncastable equipment, so either Cauldron or Batterskull, or both, and then the Yorion. And then maybe another Plow. So they cast 4 or 5. They have Caracas, so if they get ETBs, they can start looping it. Draw another Matron. We have a lot of choices here. I think I do try to set up for a Muxus. I get Skirk, and I play it. I believe they had a turn to play Jite, yeah. Because they determined they just put Yorion in their hand. I think you would probably play Jite before doing that. So it's like, it's a little risky to play out the Prospector, because if they spend a removal spell on it, but like, if they're killing this instead of this, you know? We are going wide enough that, yeah, so if they're going to kill the Sling Gang, which I'm quite happy about. Field of Ruin kind of matters. Now, I don't have a green source. But they don't have equipment, so. All right, now here is this thing. I know Yorion D&T plays one Containment Priest. They have one Containment Priest in 80 cards. So I'm playing at a 1 out of 68 if I play around Containment Priest here. But it is so bad for me if they have Containment Priest. Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it. But I decided I was not going to be a coward and go for the Muxus. Back 2 tokens, and I think I ditched the Matron? I just the Expert. Okay. Yeah, we're looking at the showcase matches. This is my winning in. This is game 2. So I was thinking about Kiki, but if I hit Kiki, then I'd probably rather copy Matron anyway, even though I have a redundant Matron in my hand. Muxus, kind of a whiff. But the second Prospector is actually kind of nice, because that means that I can do more or less whatever I want with the Matron. Like, okay, so their hand was 3 plows. But also the fact that unless they draw a land here, they can't like attack with Yorion, Caracas it, replay it to block the Lackey. So they do draw a land, so they get to attack, but I'm at 24. Like, we're kind of doing fine here. And if we draw an Expert, we can just kill the Yorion. Draw a Vandal. Very sad. 2 caverns got taken out. But play Lackey and pass, because I'm trying to set up hitting with both Lackeys, or at least one. So what I'm trying to do is they do the same thing: pick up, attack, pick up, replay, and then I get to Matron pre-combat, get Muxus, hit them, the draw port. So that basically doesn't change anything. Same line is going to happen. So I know they have no cards in hand. Draw Pashlik, which is exciting, but let's see if I played Pashlik here. I could play Pashlik, sack 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, ping this for 3, play Matron, get Muxus, sack Matron, ping, sack Skirk, ping. So I'd kill the Yorion, have Pashlik in play, but then I'd lose both my Skirks, and then if the Muxus is bad, I could still potentially lose. So just hold off for a little bit, get the second Muxus, swing with the team. My opponent blocked with Skirk for reasons I have no idea, but I mean, they're pretty dead regardless, but and then I hit one Matron. Some of these Muxuses were like absolutely trash this game. But thanks to my opponent's weird block of not blocking the second Lackey, I get to put a Kiki Jiki into play. And I get Jump Home and kill the Yorion while the Caracas is down. And I waste on the Caracas. Now they're super dead. So, opponent definitely messed up by blocking the Skirk. I don't know why they did that. Like, there's a huge difference between hitting with 1 Lackey and hitting with 2 Lackeys. You could do so much shit. You could do so much shit with 2 Lackeys. Granted, if they drew a blank that turn, they're still like super dead, even if the Muxus only hitting Matron. Because then I start doing Pashlik stuff next turn. All right, game 3. Game 3 for all the marbles. Literally, just so many marbles. By marbles, I mean treasure chests and clout. We're on the draw. I kept in one. This is like, I keep waffling on how many Lackeys I want this matchup. Lackey was good. Both my Lackeys that I left in were good in like turn 10 or whatever. So like there is some utility there. But also, I left in one because it's like I really want to be able to go like 1 drop into Expert, you know, kill Stoneforge. I think that's a pretty important play pattern. So I wanted to leave in an extra 1 mana 1/1. This hand, it's my one Taiga in hand is awkward, really clunky. War Marshal Gem Palm is even slow on the draw, so get this pretty good 6. I think you have to keep all the lands. You want to keep the port because you have a vial. You want to keep both your color sources because you have expert. So I think I put back Muxus here. If I flood out, like if I knew my top card was a land, a red source, I would probably toss the Cavern. Maybe the Cavern's even better than the fetch here, actually. Because like mountain, this is a tri-land, this is a mountain. But also way worse for Slice Land, so I toss the Muxus. I go Plains Pass. I'm pretty happy about that. Through Wasteland, which potentially could be very good in combination with the port. And now I'm just like, okay, that's really good for me. Take a Cauldra. Makes sense. Second Wasteland. So this is like the world's easiest. Needle your Stoneforge, Wasteland your port. They have a vial, but they don't have another land. And so with my port, it's like, even if they do manage to take out the needle eventually, they can't vial, they can't Stoneforge and stuff. Go to 3, in case of End Step Mother of Runes. Or, I play the Cavern in case of End Step Mother of Runes. And there's an argument to leave on 2, but I really want to draw Matron. Archnesis, interesting draw. No Mom. Port again. Next turn I'll be able to expert plus port. That was a Thalia. It's whatever. They did that to avoid discarding the hand size. I'm like, at this point, I'm just like, oh my god, draw a Shatter. I really, really want a Shatter. Sharpshooter is interesting. I really want to keep porting. There is the fact that because they have a Thalia in play, if I play Sharpshooter and they still don't draw a land, they can't plow the Sharpshooter. But they could Skyclave it. And they could also Flicker Wisp it on end step to keep it summoning sick. And that could give them like more draws at the land. Though at that point I'd port them again, so they'd have to draw land. I do regret going to 4 here, but I think it was correct. Because if I ringleader, I want to be able to continue porting. And if I draw a 3-drop, I mean, it is pretty bad if I draw a 3-drop. But if I draw a 3-drop, then I go like, I mean, if it's Matron, then I go Matron for Trash Master, blow up their vial, because I know they're stuck on mana. But I also kind of wanted to tick up just in case I did draw Muxus. Like I have shuffled, so there are 2 Muxus in the deck. Or like Kiki, so like ticking up does have value that way. That is like it's like a very close call, 3 or 4. But I did get punished pretty big time. But in a way, the Sharpshooter isn't even necessarily what I want to be doing because of Solitude and Skyclave coming off file next turn, most likely. So I decided to slow play it. Just take it easy, port more. And then they tack. I'm just like, okay, let's see if this expert eats a removal spell. So if I get to kill the Stoneforge, then I no longer care about the Pithing Needle getting Skyclaved. I go to discard Giver of Runes. I draw a Vandal, which is super good. I'm spending my Vandal, but I know that they don't, like, I know that they can't get this Cauldron in play, basically ever, between port and the Needle. And then I think, oh yeah, my opponent has a pretty cool play here. They evoke Pitching Recruiter. I'm like, okay, do they think that they need to, that killing this stops the Vandal? But then they have Flicker Wisp. So they can flicker, and then they keep their Solitude. But I do get to KO the Vial and keep porting them. And I'm not going to play Sharpshooter because the Solitude comes back on end step. That would have been an egregious punt if I had done that. And now I go for the Pyrokinesis. I don't actually need to do it right then. But I don't, I mean, I'm going to do it anyway because I'm not going to take that much damage. Because now they're really mana screwed still. And I have all the mana in the world, file 3 brands to draw, but you know. Now, like, oh god, not like this. Draw Pyro, which is currently textless. No land. Alright, I can now hardcast Pyro if I so choose. Also, this attack with Mom is, like, kind of insane to do. Especially doing it again. I go to 5 in case I draw Muxus. Draw Crater Maker, which is, like, okay. I don't kill the Mom. I just don't think I have to. Like, I got it. It's like a 1-for-1, but it taps the Mom. So then they flicker my Vial. Now the Mom's tapped, so I get to hardcast Pyro here. I'm at 5. I was way down on time, so I was really worried. Okay, yeah. This this was peak Goblins right here. All right, so top tick Matron. We have 6 mana in play. Slam Muxus. We got to win in 5 minutes. All right, Muxus. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? I need to put a single card in my hand so I can Pyrokinesis their board while the Mom is down. All right. Muxus hits. Single Ringleader. And the fact that it keeps hitting the second Muxus is so bad. All right, Ringleader, hit literally any card. Any card. I had I guess I had 2 Goblins in the top 10 of my deck, and one of them was positioned in the wrong spot. Yeah. I was horrified at this spot. I was like, if this is how I miss top 8, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be so mad. Like, we have so many lands in play, and we hit 3 more. Oh, God, it was awful. Yorion to hand. Okay, plow. Yep. And now we're kind of, like, at parity. Plow to 4 and 2. Oh, Trash Master. Okay. Use their Mom. Hardcast Pyrokinesis. Spirit Labyrinth. Very irrelevant card. Though it kind of blocks well on this board. But we draw the other Matron fucking finally. Alright, will the second Muxus do better? Alright. Still not insane, but good enough. Evoke Solitude, pitch Yorion. Crashmaster down. They are finally dead. 3 minutes on my clock, and we're in top 8. That was... that Cauldron just sat in their hand all game. The deck really made it hard for us. It would give us such hope with the draw Matron, cast Muxus with on Ringleader. Second Matron. Deck is like so many Goblins at that point. Yeah, absolute insane sweat to get into top 8. And plus we're down 6 minutes. I was worried about timing out. God. All right, we're in top 8, quarterfinals. I do not know what my opponent's on. Their last Goldfish result was like a couple months ago on Sneak and Show, so I kind of just assume that's what's going on. We're on the play here. Very skilled, winning the die roll. All right, pretty good hand. Cavern Lackey, Skirk plus Pashlik's a decent amount of damage, and we have Vandal against a sneak attack plus the enabler for the Vandal with upside. Plus, it's just good kind of generically, like if they're not sneak at show. Island Pass, like okay. Pile Driver's very good draw. So now we have like a pretty serious clock on them. So Brainstorm, Ponder, and this makes me think it's like it has to be a sneak and show at this point. They're all War Chief, so now they're like under kind of a ridiculous amount of pressure now. Like they are absolutely dead next turn. And we can beat Omniscience. Also, if they cast Show and Tell, Omniscience, or sneak or show in sneak attack, or if they go like sneak attack, activate, put in Emrakul, they actually die to Annihilator triggers. So the whole board dies at once, and then Pashlik kills them, which is awesome. Like, I don't know about you, but that's fucking sick as hell. So, Show and Tell, here's Grizzlebrand, not even close to good enough, and then I top deck Sling Gang, so they are now giga dead. Because they're already dead because you attack with everything and then sack whatever they block, and then so they block the Pile Driver, and then we hit them for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it can Pashlik if there was more damage necessary. So, game 1 against Sneak and Show in the books. Game 2, so I sideboarded. I did not board in the Surgicals against conventional Sneak and Show. 4 Red Blasts. Needle, Caracas, Mindbreak Trap. Mindbreak's good against their fastest lines, and it's a hedge against Omni. Boarded in the second Vandal as well, and the Trash Master to beat Pyroclasm. Sometimes you hit Petals, they play out early. I Shape the Sharpshooter, mostly because of like Pyroclasm type effects being so good against it, and it's like not it is a much worse Pashlik in this matchup. And I kind of wanted to leave one Expert in the deck, but I had enough to sideboard in that I couldn't. Expert is nice to have in the deck because sometimes, like, they go Show and Tell Grizzlebrand, you Show and Tell in the Muxus, and you hit, like, a bunch of token whatevers and then a Matron, and then you might want a Matron for Expert to kill a Grizzlebrand. So there is definite utility in leaving it in, but decided not to. This hand's almost the nuts, except like if the second vial was a red source. Like this Pyroblast is currently incastable, but definitely a keep. We got a path to Muxus, we got a path to Mana Denial. It's quite good. Draw Second Wasteland, which potentially is really good. Cavern Lackey, 100%. Cantrip, Petal. But the fact that they fetched Volk off the Flooded Strand is really good for me. So, Matron, grab Muxus. Wasteland first, because I don't want them to daze the Volk back to their hand, and if they want to daze my Vial with the island, that is extremely okay with me. So, more cantrips. Opponent did not have a particularly good hand. So they Hydro Blast the Lackey. So no Muxus for me this turn. But, I mean, at this point, I'm only really scared of Sneak Attack. I can beat basically anything else. Draw Port. Do the same turn, basically same exact line as last turn. Wasteland plus Vial. And the Pile Driver is not irrelevant. But now they go for Show and Tell. I mean, they probably should not have gone for Show and Tell. They know about the Muxus, but maybe they just felt like they needed to take the risk. But yeah, all right. How do you think this works out? How do you think this works out for the opponent? Does the average Muxus beat Emrakul? Give you a hint. The answer is yes. They are overwhelmingly dead to Double Matron Trash Master. So you get Creator Maker and then Skirk to get the Red Blast online just in case like a Hydra Blast happened. And like I could get fancy here, but you do like War Chief stuff, but that's just unnecessary. Just 11/11 MOCS Creator Maker your armor cool. Hit you for like 1 billion. So pretty smooth sailing there. So we're on to the semis. So 80 card, once again D&T, like the 3rd time. On the play, like champion. Excellent hand. They do have Plow, though. I didn't get to turn 1, and then we draw MOCS. This is like Heartbreaker. I didn't get to turn 1 Lackey Connect ever against D&T, which I guess sort of makes sense, like between 4 Plow, 4 Solitude. So, they got the Mom. So they had Plow into Mom into Stoneforge. Like, that's a really good hand. They got Sword of Fire and Ice, which I thought was interesting. I can understand not getting Cauldron here. Like, if I have another Expert, your Stoneforge dies and you have Uncastables. And then you're getting ported. If I have Crater Maker, I can kill the Stoneforge. Or like Creature plus Jump Palm. There's a lot of risk if you got Cauldron there, and Sophie is very good. But Cauldron would have been better here for whatever it's worth. Hold the Cavern in my hand because of I want it as a green source for Vandal down the line. I also thought they might have Cauldron just in their hand naturally. Really good Ringleader. Sling Gang, War Marshal, Creator Maker is basically perfect. Because War Marshal pairs with the Skirk, which pairs with the MOCS, and pairs with the Sling Gang. So they're going for Thalia, Violent Sword, End Step. Draw another Sling Gang. So now it's like, okay, go for the MOCS now or wait for a turn. That's the question. The longer you wait, the better the MOCS becomes because you have more stuff in play to do stuff with. So I opt to go for Creator Maker, War Marshal, and I don't play the Skirk because I really want this Skirk to be not killed. So they had Natural Batterskull, which also explains why they don't get Cauldron there, I think, because it's like it makes it so that they were even more punished if I did have the removal spell for the Stoneforge, because then you have both Batterskull and Cauldron in your hand at the same time, and so your hand is just like super just bricks. And Athalia too, so it's like even worse. Don't kill the Batterskull. I really do not care about Batterskull. Like, look at my hand. Sword is much scarier. Take my free block. I have Urza Saga, which is like, okay. Not a huge deal. Skyclave. So I get a 2-for-1 here. Take out the skull. Irrelevant draw, but definitely MOCS this time. Only sacking 2 tokens to get it into play, so. And I literally said out loud, I really hope this hits War Chief Sharpshooter. and lo and behold, fucking instant War Chief Sharpshooter and a lackey, or 2 lackeys. So opponent is just infinity dead here. This was by far the best Sharpshooter of the day. Like, they put in their sword. Obviously, their last card isn't Plow. King, Gas Pile Driver, swing with the team. Ping, ping. I mean, it's more than lethal, and then we would put in 2 Sling Gangs, so it's just like, how much damage is this? All right, so they took 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Were we in a tough spot if that skull was Cauldra? Probably. Well, I mean, probably still win, but it'd be harder for sure. What did I just calculate? I just did the math. 29, right? 11 plus 13, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Put in 2 Sling Gangs. That's 6 more goblins in play. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 13 goblins in play total. 2 damage per. 26 minus 1. 25. 25 plus 29. So 50. What did I say? 25 plus 29? 54? Pretty fucking good turn. Turn 6. 54 damage. Through 3 blockers. Yeah, that was pretty savage. War Chief Sharpshooter. Pretty fucking savage. Alright, game 2. Did the same thing with like a shaved A Sling Gang. Because I was like, War Chief keeps overperforming. It seems like the haste really matters with Muxus and with Sharpshooter in the deck. The lackeys aren't like terrible either, so I left one in for the same like expert reasons. Exactly okay hand. Eep. Mom's a little scary. The Stoneforge is very scary. I don't agree with this. They absolutely should have gotten Cauldra here. You have Mom and a Stoneforge. The only way I can punish this is expert plus pyrokinesis. That's playing around a lot. I think you should absolutely get Cauldra here. Unless they are specifically playing around Mass Vandal and they like want me to Vandal the GT and then get Cauldra later. Maybe that's reasonable, but that is like, you know. So get a War Marshal down. There's something to be said of if we draw a Muxus, we can just cast it next turn. Wasteland's kind of annoying. So I play out the Taiga because this is just a strictly better Taiga in this spot. Matron. Grab Vandal, because I honestly, I kind of assumed that they had Cauldra along with GT. Which if they do, and they have a 4th land, I'm going to lose a lot of my board. But they have Batterskull instead. But they whiff on the land, which is actually really nice for me. I decided that the 1 mana from the Goblin tokens is actually more relevant than a 8-point life swing. The Wasteland mate, they have another Wasteland. Wait, why didn't they? I think they should have gone GT equip Batterskull pro red immediately. Kill Skirk, kill Matron. They wouldn't get to Wasteland me. And then I would go Vandal your GT, expert the Mom. Then I get double Wastelanded. Canonist. Yeah, I think they should have gotten the GT counters that turn, because that was the only turn they could ever do it. Draw Vial, which is actually kind of nice, because that lets me double spell around Canonist. So I do use the Vandal and the Batterskull here. I have a Crater Maker for GT. They do play Cauldra, we do see it later. At this point, I was starting to be suspicious that they didn't. The really nice thing, this is why Vandal is like extra good against D&T. It's a green creature. So my opponent cannot even go pro red, you know, equip like GT equip pro red attack. This Vandal is so good here. Jax, get out of here. How dare you mock the boys? All right, so they go for Recruiter, and I think they get another Stoneforge. So the hand is GTA, Stoneforge, 1 unknown. It's 1/3's holding down the fort, which is kind of hilarious. We draw 4th land, which is phenomenal. Perfect time to ringleader. Hit Muxus Kiki-Jiki. We would do bottom needle and pyrokinesis, which is a little bit of a bummer, but insane hits. Absolutely clutch as hell. All right, so now they're going to do the Stoneforge thing where you Stoneforge. Yeah. All right, so the wasteland this. Do they know my whole hand? They don't. They don't. I don't think they know about these two. All right, so I'm getting Cauldred. Nine. Got land, just quite nice. So now we gotta. I'm a little worried about dying is the thing. I'm at 8. I have like all the value in the world, but I need to not die. And I also need to sacrifice something. There's some tension between the Masked Vandal and the Kiki-Jiki because you want to sack token, or sorry, tension between the Skirk. Like, I want to sack my tokens, but I need an actual creature in the graveyard. So I get to sequence this like this. So, yeah. I changed my mind a couple times here. All right, so get the Kiki down. Vial. I'm not playing around the last 2 cards being white card Solitude here. Just wasn't doing it at the time. Probably not doing it. All right, so we get to go Crater Maker. Sack token. Crater Maker their Vial. And then get that, and now my Crater Maker's in the yard, so I can Vandal. And they do have Solitude. Which does suck. So now we are very close to dead. I think opponent needed to be more aggressive here. They probably weren't thinking about a second Vandal, in fairness. But they just attack with Kaldra here, and I think they should have like given protection to like Canonist. And then attacked. Because then I take 5, 6, 7. And then I like block ear, block. Like I can't lose the Matron or else I lose. So I block Stoneforge and I block with Skirk, and then I like go to 1. I take 8, go to 1. And then yeah, so they could have put me to 1 here, and I lose my Skirk. So I leave Vial on 2. Drawing another Expert is so good. So I leave the Vial on 2 because I want to Vial it in, and now I can get around Canonist really easily. So I should have done it on their turn, though. That was actually a mistake. So second Vandal, coming in clutch as hell. And oh yeah, I decided I'm not gonna double expert. I'm gonna take the risk. I'm gonna take advantage of the token, the free token. Ditch the matrons because I can copy ringleaders now. I'm probably gonna be copying experts anyway. Hit Warchief Lackey. Yeah, Vandal Exiles. Card is so clutch. So they got Jite. Not 4. But they do have to proactively use Mom here. Actually, no, they can't. Right, because the Vandal. Vandal, once again, really good. Just being green. They pro red. I block. Sack it. No Jite counters for you. And now we go nuts. Expert, the mom, expert, ringleader first, and we hit sharpshooter. Expert canonist, sharpshooter, ping, sack a thing, play war marshal, ping. No, that's not what happened. They're dead. The replay bug's out there, but play war marshal, sack it, ping, kill Stoneforge, cast Crater Maker, swing all, lethal. So that was the semifinals. I do think my opponent could have. I mean, if they go for Baldra immediately, I would have Vandaled it. So it would have gotten 1 hit in. I don't think it gets 2. I think it just gets 1. I think. But then I'd probably have to block the Batterskull to not die. Like later. So I would have had less resources to go off with the Kiki. Alright, and now for the very... Hey, Zachram, thanks for the follow. Very underwhelming finals here where I get 2 complete non-games against Delver. So my hands were absolute trash. Spoilers, I know. So we're on the draw for the 3rd time against Delver. See our red source hand. If this matron was a cavern or something along those lines, this hand's totally keepable. Extremely mediocre 6. Good against counterspells. That's about it. Steam Vents Monkey. So opponent's deck list is no basics. So they're playing 2 Steam Vents, which honestly does make some sense given the color intensity of the red Delver. I would, if this was any other creature but monkey, if this is any other Delver threat, I snap off that wasteland because they're playing Steam Vents first, means they have no other lands. And I saw a screenshot; they did not have any other lands. So yeah, I'm very dead. Just triple creature. If I drawn Mogg War Marshal here, I might have been okay. But Brainstorm, 4th creature, or sorry, Bolt, 4th creature. And the days for double scry. Get a Sling Gang to try to stabilize 2nd Bolt. Incredibly dead. 2 War Chiefs, basically some of the worst draws in my deck anyway. Wasteland plus Dragon. Yep, not close. I mean, their hand was very, very good. And if we stopped the monkey with a Mogg War Marshal earlier, possible we get to wasteland them out of the game. But, you know. And this was even more unfortunate. Because 0 red source 7, 0 red source 6. Like, that really sucks. This is a very deflating. And then, like, this extremely mediocre 5. Like, still no Lackey, no Vial, no Pyroblast, no Pyrokinesis. And then I just get wastelanded. I do draw land. And I draw the 1 Muxus in my deck. Simpu, thank you for the follow. So here I'm just like, okay, if I draw Pyrokinesis, I could stabilize here. War Marshal's a reasonable draw. But they're just getting so much, like, this Ponder, like, oh yeah, the Ponder mills Delver, so now they're 3/3s, and I'm just, like, super dead. So I can't even jump home one of them. And then they have Bolt. I think they have triple Bolt here. Opponent felt like showboating. Bolt. Wasn't close. But my hands were very bad. I think if I have 7... So, like, a Pyrokinesis maybe wins me this game. A Vile Start, maybe. But Little kid luck, yeah. So deflating way to lose, but it was, you know, it's kind of whatever. I have 17 red sources, and you have two non-lander, or three zero land or zero red source hands. 7 game 1 and this, or no, was the 7 game 1 no red sources, or was it just bad? Maybe misremembering. Nope, no red sources. Yeah, the Ruby Storm luck bouncing out. I mean, honestly, once I hit top 8, I was just like, I don't care what happens. You know, I'm along for the ride at that point. I was thrilled to make finals. That's fucking incredible. These 150 treasure chests. We open some chests, chat. I'm not gonna open all of them, but we should let's say we're not opening all. I've opened so many chests in my life, but keep one. Open like 20. I think 20 is a good number. $36. Why 36? That's your age. We'll go to 20 and then we'll see what happens. All right, open 1. Caldine pack and a Hazoret. All right. All right. Is that worth any? Kind of doubt it. It's like a ticket. Not worth it. The pack is a ticket. Hazard is not a ticket. Trotta. Archpriest of Iona. That's a whiff. You should open chests and... Oh my god. That's genius. Open chests and chests. They should absolutely do that. All right, 45 play points into the Yavimaya Coast. Not the worst. Intrepid Hero and 10 play points. All right, all right. Not doing so hot so far. We'll make up for it with the fun. Use your D&T staple. Kills Murktide Regent. Knight of Autumn, that's a playable card. 35 play points. Okay, okay. Okay. Alright. Fix the follow monkeys. Alright, at this rate, we might only do 15. Because these have been real bad. Yep, more absolutely unplayable cards. Okay. We're due. Yeah, stop at 15. Low carb diet, thanks to the follow. What is this card? I've never seen this card in my life. Elementalist's Palette. 12 cents. Hell yeah. Oh boy. Apocryphite. Mm-hmm. Firelit. These have been like the worst chests I've had in a long time. Ooh, okay. Extended art. Arid Mesa. What's that? It's the promotional. That 2 tickets. A whopping 2 tickets. Whopping 2 tickets. All right, we broke even on a chest. All right, 2 more. 125 play points. All right, that's like a draft. That's more than a draft. That's pretty good. All right, last one. Here's the force negation. Force negation's here. Old border. Fuck. Okay. 5 more. Lost a lot of money on chests. All right. If you're watching, you have to sub to get these chests. Deck of many things. All right, Chiliest. All right, cool. 2 months. Oh, that's a couple dollars. Oh wait, no. Why is the promotional one so much less? What the hell? Like the regular one's like 4 tickets, and now this one's less than a ticket. The fuck? Oh, redemption. That's lame. That's true. You did gift a lot of subs the other time. Airflux Reservoir. Shell of the last Kappa. Can we get some Kappas in chat? Last Kappa. The card is weird. All right. Last 3. We've not opened anything worth more than 2 tickets. Christ. Oh, you got 100 top 5 points. That's true. That's true. In terms of cards, though. All right. Renin 6, Force Negation, Old Border Fetches. Extremely appropriate for the situation. I feel like this is what Moto is doing to me. Very thematic. All right. Enough of the chests. Those were actually the worst. Actually the worst chests I've ever seen. All right, let's put all these in a selling binder so I don't think about opening them ever again. The painful truth. Exactly. Oh, don't tell me that, monkeys. Don't tell me that. I think Moto's crashing because I clicked on my selling binder. There's too much junk in it. Chat, stop telling me that there's nothing's in Kaldheim. I'm just gonna sell a pack. How you doing, Callum? Nice to see you. Glad you're here. We did just finish. You'll have to catch the replay if you want to see the matches. My Kaldheim Goldspan Dragon. It's like only mythics are worth more than like 2 tickets. What's the buy price is a ticket and the EV is 50 cents. Colin, we opened 20 chests and they were so bad. They were so bad. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna set my money on fire. Here, we'll give up the 50 cents of equity here and see if we open like a bulky or whatever. Faceless Haven. Igar's sweet. That's cool. Non-zero. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering. Okay, it's a ticket. We broke even on our Kaldheim pack. Actually, we were a little bit positive. $20 was enough for me, Cal. I'm normally an open old gamer, but oh my god, they were bad. I don't have a job. I need the money. I'm moving. I need the money. There's so much money in them. Shut the fuck up. Wow, this deck was named Value. It was accurately named then. All right. Oh my god. If there's one thing I could change about this list, I want to put a Mock Fnatic in it because Ragavan on the draw is a problem. I could cut the 4th Reb. I think in like a non-showcase environment, you're probably not seeing the blue decks as much. Yeah, I went over the finals. I mean, there's very little to go over. I made almost no decisions. It's two complete non-games. It was just like, play a creature, bolt it. I guess I'll play another creature, bolt it. Here's 5 3/3s. I mean, I think I wasn't doing it, but I think I should board in Caracas on the draw against Delver. It's like actually just a reasonable thing to do. It's like really weird to sideboard a Mock Fnatic. I'd much rather main deck it, but the main deck is pretty stuck as it is. I don't think I want to change anything. If Plague Junior numbers show up again, then I'll cut the Sharpshooter. But Sharpshooter definitely like fucked up D&T players, something fierce. There's a lot of D&T. So I think maybe for like the league meta, you can like do this. I don't know, Pyroblast is so good. Pyroblast is like insane. Maybe I just Relic has been kind of mediocre lately. I could see cutting Relic. And then I was playing Surgicals over Ley Lines because of Doomsday. Surgical has text, Leyline doesn't. Cavern Fanatic is basically twin. Correct. I mean, there were multiple times in those Delver games I was like, if I go Cavern Fanatic, kill your Ragavan, and Wasteland you, I win. Like, that happened. There was 2 games like that in 2 different Delver matches today, I believe. The new cantrip Surgical gets better versus Doomsday. Does it? I don't know if that's true. Tell Daniel Cunningham. Block damage, damage on the stack. Sack Fanatic, the perfect crime. If only. If only. Now you have to do it like really boring and you just pass priority because if they stifle your Fanatic, you feel like an absolute moron. Yeah, maybe you could just trim the Relic for the Fanatic. But Relic is like a good catch-all card for like people playing Tarmogoyf. You don't really need it for the Urodex with like 4 blasts, Caracas, and optional Surgical. Damage on the stack was nonsense. It makes no sense, but my god, will grumble about how good it used to be. Did anyone listen to the Receivables? Patrick Sullivan has this phenomenal story about playing, he's playing like a burn deck against Psychotog. And his opponent, it's really, so they go set by set and they're talking about, I forget what set they were actually talking about for the episode. I forget what episode it was. But basically, his opponent is attacking with a lethal Psychotog. But he is a Lightning Helix. And his opponent like pumps it up to lethal and then like attacks and then it's like this awkward like pause because he doesn't want to say anything to make to prompt them to pump it above lethal, but there's also like no really good way to communicate like So damage is on the stack, right? And then uh not clue them in to being like, oh, I should make it bigger. And so apparently there was just this long pause where he just looked at his opponent, just like, and they just looked at each other. And there's just a wait. And then he goes, the damage is on the stack, and they're like, uh, gross seconds, and he's just like, and this was like a win in for a PTQ or something, and he dies, and like the his opponent's like girlfriend and family are there watching, and so Patrick Sullivan gets up, walks away, and then later he like bumps into the guy or walks up to him later, or no, that guy walks up to Patrick and goes like, hey, I'm like, I didn't, I really just forgot, and then I remembered, you didn't do it, and he's like, we both know what happened there. We both know the truth of what happened there. You can lie to yourself, but don't lie to your girlfriend or your family. And then he walks away, which is just like fucking goaded, goaded line. Yeah, yeah. I've been to Target a lot. I spent a lot of time there as a kid. I didn't play any Magic there, but I played D&D there, and definitely spent a good amount of time in Target. It's a classic staple. Target's now sad. I haven't been in since COVID. I mean, I haven't been in there for like probably 5 years, honestly. I was away for a couple of years, and then I moved back to New Jersey, and then COVID was shortly after that. Um, yeah, I thought that was absolutely hysterical. I'm gonna keep this list as it is and just make a new copy of. So I just like have this on hand. Oh, I didn't do that right. Copy. We're getting really messy now. Black Red Goblins number 59 2.0. Need to work on my versioning. Yeah, I know. It's a little messy. By middle, a little, I mean extremely. Numbers of pro. That'd be pretty funny. Mog Fantastic deals when it dies, deals one to energy target, and you sacrifice it any time. That'd be cool. I mean, there was that card that it was in the like the testing cards that like the what do they call it? That lemonade is warm because it was next to my computer. Um, it was the I forget what they called them, but they're like black and white like representations of the cards that they use to playtest, like when they're making Magic cards. Playtest cards. Thank you. Just literally can't think of what they're called. But there was one of those that they released that I really hope becomes a real card or something very, very similar to it. Jarvis, my head empty, no thoughts. It was like was one mana for a 2/1 goblin, ETB, deal 2 to any target, but it can't attack or block until you pay 4 to motivate it. And Lazier Goblin, I think it was called. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was super cool. And I would absolutely slam so many of those in my deck. That card would be awesome. It'd just be like so much better than Tarfire. It's obscene. Like, imagine a Tarfire that you could fucking sacrifice to your Sling Gang or your Prospector, or like copy with Kiki Jiki, or like, God, that card would be so good. And then in the late game, you could convert it into a like a Piker, like good just random mana sink for your or for your 1 mana play. Like, that card would be so fucking sick. I really wish it was real. I'm really sad that it was not put into a real set. I'd probably find a way to main deck 3 of those, because fucking kills Plague Engineer just whenever you want. Oh man, it'd be so good. So fucking good. 1 mana ETB, kill a Delver. Sack it to Skirk. Whew. Nosy Goblin, destroy target face down card. List is on MT top 8. I know, just the showcase just got posted today. There I am, 2nd place. Yeah, Kitesteel Freebooter is my #1 pick for goblins that would break the deck open. I'm a little concerned about the goblin like position in the metagame for the coming weeks, just because like it's gonna have a little bit more of a target on its head, and we're getting hit by Delver Cyber cards, or like anti-Delver Cyber cards and anti-D&T Cyber cards for the most part. With like no like the shatters aren't all that good, but other stuff like we're seeing Hydra Blast getting played because of Ragavan. Got shot, same thing. We're seeing people start playing like Torpor Orb or whatever in their Delver sideboards for D&T. That would like giga suck. Though Torpor Orb is not as good against goblins as D&T, but it's pretty close to. I mean, we can remove it and they can't without them playing something like Disenchant. But having to find Crater Makers early against Delver and use them on an artifact is a lot worse than you want to use it to kill a Delver. So that would suck if that happened. It's not like you want to board in Trash Master against Delver ever. Trey Van Cleave. I do not remember Jarvis. That probably before my time. All right. Well, folks, I think that oh wow. That's funny. All right. I'm starting to lose my voice. Let's see who else is streaming. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for the support. Check out the Patreon. I'm going to do a cyber guide on this list, because obviously the list has at least something going on. Like, that can't be terrible at this point, right? So please check out the Patreon. Got a cyber guide in the works for it. And I'll probably be writing an article pretty soon as well. We got Fenris streaming. Send you over to Fenris to see how Infect's doing these days. All right. Catch the VOD on YouTube if you want to. If you didn't get to see the whole stream, here's exclamation point Patreon. See ya, folks, next time. Oh, Turn with Thoughtseize, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. All right. Have a good one, everyone.